And that should go big live in just a second. There we are. We, of course, the YouTubers didn't see it, but we raided into, blah, blah, blah. I know their name. Why am I dumb? Hold on one sec. It was, forget I said anything. I'm just going to be quiet for a second here. Oh my God. Sid Heresy, that was the name, sorry. So we raided into Sid Heresy, and Sid Heresy immediately called me Twitch royalty, which is, I don't know, from Sid's perspective maybe, but that's not the case, man. I am the furthest from Twitch royalty. I have the special badge, but that's it. What up, Magus? What shenanigans are there now? Oh, usually good stuff. Yeah, it's the raid light. We're going to be working on the raid light, which is one of these orange Spinema things. And we found out yesterday that the Spinema thing is literally just a universal DC motor running 12 volts and a lamp. That's it. It's just got a rubberized wheel and a bearing over here. So, big rack. Yeah, there you go. I know that emote. How are you streaming to both? Streamlabs wanted $25 a pound a month for that. What you got to do is get the shady Chinese plugin that allows you to stream to both. Well, my OBS is kind of a dangerous thing to show on. Multiple output plugin. And I just have Utrub as one of the targets. The author is Sorayuki. And they have a donate thing there. But, where is that? Oh, let me make sure that that doesn't dox my like stream key or anything. Plugin manager. Yeah, so OBS multi RTMP is what I use. OBS multi RMTP. And then I'm just going to click OK. And actually, OBS Advanced Masks, OBS ASIO. Oh, yeah, that's right. Glow Shadow, RTMP, Advanced Masks. I need to actually install some of the video effect ones, too, because I want to have a glitchy face cam and stuff like that, or make it look a little bit more VHS when I'm in this little window over here, just to make it a little bit more dynamic. Ah, so I've got your stream key. It's XXZ star 1. It is star 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 star. Bold choice using all stars for your password. Save. So yeah, that's what I use. It's you know, obviously there's zero support. It does multiple different things. It's very useful. It's free. Yeah. Hunter 2, that's automatically, actually that would be kind of funny if I was able to put in like auto mod settings to replace Hunter 2 with stars. That would actually be kind of funny. I don't know if auto mod can do that. I don't think I can change your messages. I think that's a sacred thing. It would be very funny if it did do that. I could probably also get Nightbot to go, hey, you should censor that. But I don't want to do that. That's a little disruptive. See, it's the thing is, like, I love little things like that where the viewers can control things that are physically in the real world, not just in chat or digital. And those are really fun. But if I give you guys any leeway at all, you guys are going to abuse it to death. So you always have to be wary of that kind of thing. So if I have something that can edit your messages, there's likely some way that somebody's going to exploit that, get their channel deleted, and then get me deleted physically in the real world. They're going to send a crack squad of Twitch mods to huff and puff, and I'm going to blow up. That's what they do. It's like scanners. They go, and then your head. Yep. And that's what Twitch does. And then this is how I get all of chat on there. I dare to ask. I was talking about it earlier. Even Short Lurker, even Short Lurker of the famed Lurker block. Short Lurker, friend of mine, many years, online friend. said, no, don't be sorry. You're fine. I was talking about this earlier. It's okay. Said, I miss burn the subs, and to break short lurker breaks me. That breaks me. That breaks me. No progress on that. We've been working on, the sim setup. I haven't really gotten to this. The sim setup opened the way so that I can actually get to burn the subs now. I can sit over there now. So maybe I'll figure out how to set a camera on this from this angle and from the other angle, and I'll have to like move the stream deck or something. But we should do quite a bit of wiring on this. We do have to do all the internal wiring, and then I need to do the board wiring. I would like to somehow flip that drag chain so it's up, which means this one needs to be up here, and that way gravity is keeping that from happening. And then from there, it's like hook up all the wires and then get the board, the motor controller board running. And then we have to do a lot of Python code, possibly Clipper API. Although when Clipper API was suggested, that was like, it's now old news now. So I don't know what we can use. Everybody would want me to go mainsail, but I don't know if mainsail or Clipper support laser etching. I'd be even more broke if Burn the Subs was active. I know, everybody says that, and then it comes to me just barely eking a low enough income to get on the Pennsylvania Public Health Program, and I hate to make it all back to that, but that's really important because my level of diabetes care should be maintained, and if I make just barely enough to squeeze myself out of the program, I don't know if I can afford to take care of myself. I don't know if $10,000 is going to take care of my diabetes. I mean, maybe it might. It might not be a disaster. I would very much like the channel to grow to the point where I make real money off of it. That would be really cool. But I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to try to like get ads or anything like that. I don't necessarily like that. I would rather turn away, Raid Shadow Legends than have more intrusive ads in society. I'm happy to Twitch forces a certain amount of ad stuff on us, so we can't really get away from that. I just saw 2 lamps in the thumbnail. Why do we have 2 now? There's 2 of them? Oh my God, when did that happen? The poverty cliffs. Make $3 but remove 10K in help. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, when did that happen? Yeah, no, I bought 2 of them at the same time because they were relatively cheap on eBay. There's some differences between the design of the 2, but they sensibly are kind of the same thing. It's a rubber wheel with just a universal DC motor pumping it that's on a spring. But we'll take a look at the differences today before we hit code into this thing. There's also Fluid NC, which runs on an ESP32 and supports laser. I'm not running an ESP32. Jesus Christ. I already have I already have the hardware chosen. We're running a MKS mini board, which is a little bit old now, but we chose it at the time. I've got a really nice power supply on it. It's one of the most expensive power supplies I own. It's a Vicor power supply that's like silent. It's beautiful. And it provides tons of current if we need it at 24 volts. So you got a 24 volt power supply. We've got an MKS mini, I think, board, which has quiet, very nice drivers on it that we can also use as bump stops. We can use bump stops instead of switches. Because remember, the switch got loose one time and then almost sent the whole board into chaos. So we'll have bump stops that I'm going to make into something really like strong and physical, and it'll stay in place. And then I've got a Raspberry Pi 5 on the board, which I probably should just sell as generational wealth at this point. I probably should just sell it and use the 3B Plus because it's not going to need the Pi 5. But if I really want to take advantage of the Pi 5, we need to use something like either Clipper or Mainsail, and use its sort of inertial look ahead stuff. Raspberry Pi, that weight is the same as gold currency. Isn't it crazy out there? What's going on? You can stop streaming when you sell the Pi 5. It's worth like $500. Like, what? I got it for $60. I didn't know I was investing in futures all of a sudden. Like, these fucking ghouls, these tech bros, these subhuman goblin-esque fuckers that are like tech bros are just ruining everything. Because I'm sitting here doing fun little projects with my credit card sized computer and having a great time buying RAM to keep my computer going longer, and they come in here and they go, bro, you just invested. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, go away. Go away. Get away from my hobby. It was fun before you commoditized everything. It sucks. Yeah, now I'm a stock trader and I have to like do cocaine or something. I don't know. It sucks. I have 2 of them on my shelf doing nothing. They're pretty good, like computers, man. What's up? Gary the Gooner. You know, you would come in here with that name, Gary the Gooner, and you would end up with it burnt on a block of wood. Because these psychos in chat would gift you a sub almost immediately for that name. That's something that we're going to kind of dig back out of its grave and work on a little bit more, is the board on the wall. Previously, I've had 2 of these boards. Dare I show my desk? Dare I show my desk and the state of just degeneracy of it? I have 2 of these boards that are filled with names. One of them has almost 6,000 names on it. It's like 5,998 or something like that, or 99, I'm not sure. Water cooling computer, by the way, is still going. I wouldn't say strong. I've had to make like a boom tube on it, an open air tube, just because I think what's happening is expansion is causing air to get into the pipes. I turned it up in this direction so that the pipe that was collecting all the air is now the highest point and has that little extra reservoir on it, but I haven't seen any air building up, and I'm worried about it. This being in this orientation is bad because bubbles don't naturally kind of find a way out of it. So I think I need to turn that 90 degrees, but I put it on a 2020 rail stand, which is holding it up like that. And it's been pretty good. The bubbles have not been collecting in there. And I think what would happen is kind of like a Slurpee machine. The bubble will get in the tube and it blocks water flow. Without water flow blocked, it's whisper quiet again. So I just want to learn electrical engineering. Well, we're going to get going with some project stuff in just a bit. I don't know how much basic electrical engineering I'm going to be doing. It's a very simple project today. But in the future, I'm going to be exhuming this thing, which is a XY laser etching, quote unquote, table. And I need to do a couple physical changes to the way this thing is laid out. But we have a whole control panel that we designed in CAD, and we want to get running on my network and all that stuff. We got to wire this thing up and make sure all of my power doohickeys are connected to all of my other power doohickeys, and then that works. And then we need to figure out what software it's going to run, if it really actually needs the Raspberry Pi 5, or do I sell that and buy a house? And then once all the physical stuff is done and all the wiring's done, we can kind of staple a bunch of software things together, and hopefully when somebody subscribes to my channel, their name will end up burnt onto the board. So I know you plug a fan in an electrical socket and it turns on. Well, there's a lot to electrical engineering, is how do you make that fan go a particular speed? Do you care is always the first question, and probably the last question. You really just need do you care to be there a lot in engineering. Do you care how fast the fan is going numerically, or do you care that the fan is going at all? What information do you need from the fan? What effect is the fan supposed to have? Those are all what gets into the engineering. Now, from the electrical standpoint, it's what message do I send to the fan in order to control it, and how much does that cost? That's the underlying also question of engineering, is how much money do I want this fan to be worth, and what job is it supposed to do with the information that I'm sending it? In the case of the penny counted, bean counted, absolute minimal margins on everything ever in society and our skill in manufacturing, what we end up with is called a pulse width modulated signal, and it's literally just a 1 and a 0 that you send over to the fan, and the faster or the more of the timeline is populated by the 1 versus the 0, the more or less speed your fan goes, and not by virtue of the amount of total power that you're sending to the fan, but by virtue of the fan interpreting the signal, having its own sensor for the magnet that's spinning the fan, and getting to the speed that it knows it can get to. That's what internal fan controllers have, so that if you poke your finger in them, it'll hit up against your finger, and you'll go, frick, that really hurt. But the fan then stops trying to push your hand away because the brushless controller in it has detected a stall, and it pauses. It goes, hold up a sec, we'll wait for this to finish. And so you take your dumb human meat hand out of the fan, and the fan will sit there, and all of a sudden it'll go boip, and it'll start itself up again. That's how intelligent these fan controllers have gotten. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, that's totally over-engineered, but like they're able to do it. That's the economy of scale in engineering. Computer fans are awesome. They're also are ones where if the speed is too slow, it won't be able to start the fan, and it knows this, and so it kicks up to a higher RPM and then lowers it down to the level that's requested. And that's all within these little fan controllers. Kind of crazy. You can add AI to the fan. I mean, technically they would probably call that AI, even though it's just an algorithm. They do that a lot these days. The fan is all, I'm glad you asked. And that's important. I need to get better with those AI-isms. I want to be able to rail them off like I do business jargon speak. ADHD. Stream's over. ADHD's here. Guys, we got to go. No, how's it going? How's it going? Oh man, yeah, we've been working on a raid indicator. I got a big fat ass raid from Uo's Labs last stream before last, and then I also had Dave Seuss, Dave 5005 in chat. It was like more attention than I ever wanted in one stream. 2 500 plus viewer streamers talking to me. I'm like, geez. The introvert in me was screaming. But anyway, so these I bought a little bit before that, and we might as well, here, set up start soon. We might as well just get start soon out of there, and I'm gonna get the music out of here too. We'll just start. It's a little early. You know, we've only been talking for, hold on, I don't know, the timer's missing. I'll just explain to everybody what we're working on as I normally do. Lower that, bring that up. Where's that number? Oh, it's been 50. Okay, I started a little bit early and we've been chewing the fat for a long time, so it's been 52 minutes. So yeah, sure as hell, I'm gonna start stream. Usually I kind of chew the fat for about 45 to 50 minutes, usually unless there's something really cool to talk about. And in that time, I make my YouTube thumbnail and go live on YouTube. So the YouTubers get a slightly more efficient start. Cleaning up and organizing cards, oh man. ADHD's been getting real big into that Pokemon stuff. He's been punching babies in supermarkets and buying out all their stock with his fedora on, going, these are mine, and then storming out to the next supermarket where he does the same thing. Punch a baby, put all your money in the machine, get all the cards. No, he's just been collecting, it's fine. Like everybody else. Anyway, so I'd love to make one of the wire bending machines on that page. I could use one. And I know a lot of people in chat could use one too, because they've been bending their own springs for stuff. Having something that does that, like the CNC pipe benders, is like such a superpower. You could make such a cool like rail car, not like train. I mean like a car that's like a framework car. Anyway, what are we working on? Hi everybody. Guess what? I bought some black undershirts. So actually navy blue and black and gray. So I'm gonna start actually being fashionable for once. We're still working on this thing that I decided to do. I wanted to have something that was a little better than just my van GIF. Here, I can trigger it. I can trigger it. I can do this. This thing. This I have triggered on raids, which is very funny indeed. But it's also, that's from like 2018 maybe. It's from an old Philadelphia auto show, and so I wanted to have something a little bit more IRL. And if you know me, I do a lot of IRL stuff. I like meat space. Don't get the wrong impression from that. I don't, you know, meat space. I mean the real world. It's just a fun way of saying the real world, right? Not like I love meat. No. Anyway, so we bought these lights that you put on top of your car or truck, typically work truck, in order to signify that you are a work guy working on work stuff, and that people should be wary of the working that you're doing. And so I decided to get orange because Burn the Subs has miniature versions of these on it to make it look a little bit more industrial, and it's kind of cute. So I bought real ones on eBay. If you buy these new, they're expensive because they're, I guess, a safety item. But if you buy them on eBay, you can get them pretty cheap. If you're an American, it's like $20, and apparently if you're Flatulent Gonad, it's like £6. Like, what the fuck? Like, why are the prices so much different? Flatulent Gonad routinely, he bought car pedals, and it was like 10 of their dollar things that they use, and for me it was like 40. It's ridiculous. Anyway, the point is, you can buy these on eBay, and they're all beaten up, and they've been, you know, on top of a truck, and they've fallen off of it, and so the person eventually goes, screw this, I'm just gonna sell this. Which is what I love about eBay. I love that a tech company does not own eBay, and that GameStop isn't buying eBay, and that their account was suspended, because eBay is, I like it the way it is. It may be completely clogged with dubious quality Chinese products, but if you search used, you can find cool stuff. Facebook Marketplace is on my shit list because I don't like Facebook. I don't like going on it. I don't like logging into it on any computer that I own, and I haven't since I moved to Firefox, and I don't plan on it. I hate it. But it's got Marketplace, which has kind of taken over a little bit of that Craigslist's eBay thing. I still love eBay, and I love where it is, and I've loved it all along. It's been a love affair since day one, because you go on it and you buy people's garbage, and we love garbage. We love fixing garbage here and getting our value out of it. It's always blah, yeah. At least Facebook Marketplace for Pokemon. Yeah, that definitely, because that would have been Craigslist, and then you would have get stabbed a lot. But anyway, so what I've done... What have I done? I've bought some of these indicator lights because when somebody raids into the channel, I want to turn off the lights and have chaos going on. If you guys know the Mr. Sark, he does like an air raid siren and an echo in his voice and goes, "Oh, look, somebody's raiding," and it's a lot of fun fanfare. So thinking about that, how can I copy Sark shamelessly and make it my own? And the way to make it my own is to do something IRL. So I bought a couple of these lights. The first one came in, we reverse engineered it. We got through programming how something would turn it on in the event of an air raid. I mean, in the event of a raid. When somebody raids into the channel, I already have a flow in Node-RED that controls stuff, and it's how I make the van scene turn on automatically. I love automating this kind of stuff. It's really fun to do. Once you get the baseline flows, you can then play with it and add things very easily. We can add IRL stuff to the stream in an afternoon. So I was hoping that it would be a one-stream project. Turns out, two-stream project. So right now, where we are with this project is here. Wait, that way I didn't gesture or indicate or anything. We have just finished the programming, and so now we can check out to see whether or not it works on an ESP8266. Then I can figure out the power and hook up the thing that turns on the motor, and then we can glue it onto this, and then we got one. You know, we got it. It's done. All we have to do is just make a little flow that's going to trigger our ESP, and we have to move our code into the ESP. I already have skeleton frameworks of all this stuff. So, all right, let me catch up with chat. Imagine a mini desktop version of what? What are you guys talking about? Oh, we got Madamu over on YouTube. Awesome. Let me just catch up with you guys. Hot dude working on hot things. I appreciate that. I love making one of these wire bending machines. Yeah, we got there. Just cleaning up and organizing cards. Are you going to do a wall mount for the cards? Nice. I don't understand the Pokemon card thing. I'm just gonna, like, a quick rant. I don't understand it because it feels like a bubble. It feels like a big bubble because people say this card is worth this much because it says so on the website. But then, like, what is the printer of the card doing? They go, let's make a lot of really high value cards. Let's just put them out there. And then people spend all this money on them. And, you know, people, you know, get the money while you can, I guess, because the people who are buying the opened cards are the ones I'm just getting scammed on this, I believe. You say, this card is worth $45 and I paid $45 for it. Well, that's good. Can you sell it now for $45? Because I feel like there's a lot of cards getting out there. The wall-mounted thing is for storage for my parents' house downstairs. Yeah, and that's great. If you, you know, this card is worth hundreds of dollars, but I'm going to put it up on my wall and I'm going to appreciate it. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. You won't get scammed. It's just crazy, right? Are you describing the stock market? Yeah, it feels a lot like the stock market, huh? The way we're kind of passing the, playing the shell game with RAM and AI stuff actually turning a profit, because I don't think they've made much of a profit. Anyway, back over here. Me as a programmer, I have a love-hate relationship with Node-RED. It works sometimes really nice, sometimes blah. We're going to try to make it run CAN bus at some point, and that's when I think we're going to see the limitations. Right now, for controlling all of my Internet of Things, I think it's really good. Just because of the visual programming that we're doing and the flows, the flow methodology is really, really nice for visualizing how this stuff works. It really kind of makes it easy for me to make and reconfigure all kinds of different interactive things around here. I pull my cards, I only buy singles to finish the set. Yeah, so you're not like totally out on, you're not paying for the crazy ones. That's not gonna, start soon is not gonna work right now because we have it in the flow. I have it checked to see whether or not that scene is active. Checks to see if the scene's active, and then it continues on. But your chat message just went into here and then got stopped by this before it made a giant start soon on screen. And it would incidentally would also turn on the start soon thing. I see. Oh, it's, wait, your parents' cards? Not your cards. What? Anyway, all right. So what we're doing is we're trying to make like a raid siren, not really a siren, but just like something that really, oh, there goes the idea light. Make something that just pops when somebody raids, right? And yes, I know I have an airbag sitting over there. I'm not going to do that. I like my eardrums. So yeah, that takes the form of a Spinema light, and we hooked up the Spinema light just to show you guys. I'll hook it up again. I could probably hook it up backwards and it would go the opposite direction. Although I don't really need it to do that. I could hook it up to an H-bridge motor controller, and then we could make it go different speeds. But yeah, this is what it does. Wow. But it also makes noise while it does it. So that's what we have, and it's squeaky, and I don't know. I like how dinky it is. It's kind of cute. So if I can get two of these going off, maybe I can play an air raid siren noise, and it'll be fun. The other thing, what Gonad suggested was that it come down from the ceiling. And I'm thinking about that, and really all it would need to do is pivot down and come into view here, like here and here. I could have the two of them. But what would that take? I would need to like put steel up and have something that pivots downwards towards me. Just like that. And then they're both going off. That would actually be very funny. How would I accomplish this? I don't know. Without hurting myself? I also don't know. I would need to make a big gantry that swings down. So it would go... I don't know. Well, that's something for another day. That's something for another day and a bigger strut than what I have access to. And then the strut's going to fail, and I'm going to end up just like axing myself on the head with it. Mounted a monitor arm. Now, stop coming up with ideas. I don't need you guys to come up with ideas. It's invasive. I got the invasive good ideas in chat, quote unquote. And those are in a lot of quotes. All right, so I got a new one. Let's just see how it works real quick. All right, good lurking, DGen rather. Sorry, get that wrong. I got a new one, a new old one. I mean, it's somebody else's garbage. Oh, these are just supposed to spin, or are they loose? They're loose. And there's stuff rattling around inside of this. Let's open it up and we can clean it out. Okay, it's harder to twist because these things are like, they're on springs. I guess this holds onto a car better? I don't know, it's so weird. Yeah, I know, I usually call it backseating, but it's the good idea fairy. It's when the CO has a good idea. All right, so this one seems a little bit, whoa, a lot of bit different. Look at that. Hold on, let's, here, take a look at this up close. This is much differently engineered to do the same exact thing, by the way. All right, so covered in grease, it seems. No, it's just shiny. Okay, this is way too close. Oh, this is as close as the micro. Okay, so we won't look at it on the microscope because it's way too close. All right, so this one is a slightly different construction. Instead of plastic, they're using a little metal piece, which leads to the pivot or the twisty majig on there. And then this is soldered over here. That's a really weak connection. This is like threatening to break almost immediately. I can just feel it when I move the wire. And then we got the motor wires and those wires all coming together where? I guess they're, okay, they're spliced. They're spliced down here. So we can probably cut those and then run them to the screw terminals of the little motor controller, but it's much shinier too. This is a much more reflective. So these are going to look pretty different. Interesting. And then we also have a spare bulb. Isn't that neat? They gave you a nice little spare bulb in there. Are these? No, they're the same socket. The same socket. This one's just a shinier chrome. And again, like, how in the world do you stream without showing your identity? I don't understand how to keep anonymous in this world of physical devices, because, like, right... Where do I... Wait. I keep moving in time with... Okay, here. There we go, and now I'm doxxed. Like, that's all it takes. That's all it takes to dox me. All right? I don't understand how people can remain anonymous in this day and age. Keep their face from chat. It's crazy. Anyway, we've got a knurled roller wheel, which is a fair bit of difference. I guess you would use this thing in the event. Oh, geez, there's another unflattering view of bother. This would be something that you would like coat in rubber, and then the knurling would hold onto the rubber. But it's just a straight up knurled post that's going onto this rubber here. So we don't need to do any of the shenanigans that we did over here with shrink wrapping the motor shaft. Kind of crazy. All right, later, engineer. Or almost. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, but simple construction, just a pivot, a little collar here, which is a little bit more than could be said for this one. This one's just like a screws on top of the motor. This one, who is coming up with these? It's crazy. And this is like a trusted safety item. And I guess having locked nuts with a little spring on the bottom is ideal for having this thing be bumpable, I guess, and not scratching your car. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't really have a lot of leeway. And I don't think these magnets are particularly powerful. Crazy. It's a crazy little item. And I guess they did all right because people had them and they still work. There's a big friction point right there. Does this move at all? Oh yeah, it does. I guess the light, this just surrounds the light piece and there's no bearings of any kind because this thing is as cheap as it gets. Oh, that's true. That is very true. This would be for like your fancy, curvy car body. This would be able to grip a little better because the magnets would be on something as flat as you can manage. All right, so picking up where we left off. Oh, who makes this? Reese. Made in China. Let's get that. We get that information. I don't know what vintage this one is, but we don't have any information on it, and it's doesn't have a lot of markings anywhere. So anyway, we're going to make these things into Internet of Things things, and we do that with the Intrepid ESP8266. These are getting kind of old. These are like $1 each. They're not that powerful. It's no ESP32. It's a little dinky little microcontroller that you can get to do a surprising amount of stuff, given that it has Wi-Fi capability. We are able to get our simple flip a switch program onto this. So previously, we used a skeleton program. Don't be too scared. I don't mean a real skeleton. I just mean there's not a lot to it. It's the basics of functionality for something that is ESP8266 driven. You see right here, we have the channel point fart box. And the channel point fart box contains an ESP8266 that's flipping 9 switches. The 9 switches are the buttons of the fart box. Each one a unique and special fart. These unique and special farts are uttered by chat through the use of channel points in Node-RED. We set up, oh my God, every time I say something, Willow is barking. Every time I try to say something, Willow's barking. Can you guys hear that in the background? Or were you just trying to trigger that? Because I hear her going nuts out there. Oh my God. It's her and her friend, who's also a corgi, barking at random stuff, and nobody's telling them to shut up. They're just barking. I just have, just in the back of my head, I did roof, 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 roof. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, okay, I have to ignore it. Anyway, so Node-RED, I have hooked up to the Twitch API using somebody's event sub node. Basically, you have to put a bunch of private stream information that you generate with a stream key generator. It's basically a way to keep bots from going psycho. It has scope, so there's a certain scope that it's able to command, and so your bot doesn't necessarily delete your channel if you mess up. I've given it quite a wide breadth of scope on this. So we have a lot of different messages that can come in as Java flows in Node-RED from the Twitch event sub. Twitch event sub basically says, hey, I've got a message for you. Or yeah, it's, hey, I've got a message for you. And then you get that message from it, but it needs to like tell you that there's a message, and that way the burden on the servers is a little less. And so we have things like chat messages. We have things like raid indicators, whether a sub or a gift sub comes in, a channel point redeem, a channel shout out received, and bits. And so I've got all of these different methods to do things in the physical world given whatever thing I want you to have triggered. So in this case, when we get a raid, I could do all kinds of stuff with their username. All, you know, if I put a bunch of LEDs up on the wall, which I plan on doing eventually, I can put the name of the raider, I could do the picture of their channel. There's all kinds of information in these Java flows that the Twitch API gives us. Like for instance, even just a chat message will contain a user ID, username, display name, and then you've got all kinds of other stuff like, did they use an emote? What's the URL for the emote? All the stuff needed to display it somewhere. We can have fun with the contents of that message now in Node-RED, where I can spool up an entire, you know, filtered action in one go. We have one singular point of failure for the entire Twitch API that powers the channel. And the reason I do that is because after like 6 months, a year sometimes, the credentials expire. And so if the credentials expire, I don't want to be caught out having to update an ESP8266 with like a new certificate or anything like that, right? Instead, I can just do it in Node-RED. If it does fail, I think this node might re-up its own credentials because you have the re-up key you have to give it as well. So anyway, so getting that working was a big deal for not only things like the raid alert light and the fart box, it's a big deal for burn the subs, because now we can have the Twitch API doing all of the profanity filtering and making sure that a name can get to the board, and then we just send the name after it's been, you know, made proper, send it over to the board where it's going to do all of the randomization and artistic stuff and whatnot. So it'll still have the board will still have a database, but our front end will be more malleable, and we can have it store names. We can have it check names to see if there's profane or not. Verified by Twitch. The thing is, like, the profanity filter was supposed to be Twitch, but man, there's some crazy creative names out there, and people had a lot of fun with it. So anyway, that's gonna burn the subs. Eventually gonna come back. These projects like this are leading to it. So I bought 2 of these little spin-a-thing lights, and we're gonna get them running. Previously, we got all the way to the point where we were ready to check uploaded code into the ESP8266, and then I'd have to hook it up to something in order to test to see whether or not, you know, my digital write works. And actually what I can do here is, instead of this, we'll digital write the built-in LED. LED built-in high. And then we take this one and we digital LED built-in low. Okay, so this is Arduino parlance. It's possible that I could use something like PWM in order to control the speed of this. And if I've used one of the PWMs, you use a command called analog out. But analog out doesn't actually control analog pins. It controls PMW, pulse width, PWM, pulse width, pulse width modulation pins are special pins on the microcontroller, and they are identified to the Arduino programming thing. Arduino, because it was made by Italians, I guess, instead of analog write being like setting a voltage level, what you would expect, because analog inputs are a voltage level, right? They'll tell you what voltage the pin's at if you analog read. But no, analog write is different. Analog write sets a PWM value for that pin, and you have to make sure that the pin can support PWM. If you wanted to turn that into a voltage level, you could put a resistor capacitor filter on that PWM and perhaps get a voltage, although tuning it is a pain. Why did they do this? Why did they do this like this? I don't know, but it should have been called PWM out. If I wanted to control that, we could play with PWM analog writes, but in this case, we'll just keep it digital and turn it on and off. And then I need to do something up in the setup that makes sure that our pin is turned off at the beginning. Oh, okay, I already did it. Digital write, LED built-in. So LED built-in is registered as an output in the microcontroller, and then we set it to a low voltage level. Then we take the switch pin and we set it low. What did I do? Wait, did I do switch pin? Oh no, because we're doing LED built-in. We'll set the switch pin low and set it up and all that stuff, but I'm not going to set the switch pin with this program. We'll go in and reprogram it. So the ESP80, jeez, my dog will not stop barking. It's like a nice day out. It's like a nice day. It's like nice and sunny and 60 degrees out. And so my folks are around because my father finally retired and has a bunch of medical appointments to go to and stuff for a diagnosis that was not very serious, but it sounds serious. Anyway, I will not relay that information to you guys and keep in a little bit of privacy, but that means that they're around, both of them, and they're figuring out what to do. And so gardening is going to be the thing that is done, and gardening is happening outside and the dogs are inside. And so the dogs inside, seeing somebody moving a plant outside means I must bark at this entity that is invading the sanctity of my inner chamber. What is it? My inner sanctum, I guess I should have said. And so there's a lot of just ambient barking going on. And it's interesting what that does to you mentally, because when you're trying to think of what you're going to say next, and all you hear is roo, 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 at just the wrong time. It is literally what I foster in this shop, though, by having a fart noise maker, what is triggered off of channel points. So really, you reap what you sow. I should not be all that disturbed by this. All right, I need a USB cable that's like this really old one because I bought this thing before the ubiquity of USB-C, and I don't know how many USB-C to USB micro swap-in solderable plugs there are. I probably should pony up and spend $5 on Alibaba and buy one of these that has USB-C, but I haven't gotten around to it. So let's, oh hey, I just found half a bottle of seltzer. Nice. It was sitting in the microcontroller programming drawer that I have open right now. You live like this? Yeah, I live like this. Where's the USB cable? Looking for USB mini or micro or whatever the hell. Yeah, here's a good one. All right, so the way that I have my desk set up is that I have a 7-port USB 3 hub, the blue one. USB 3 hub, powered. That's for all of the stuff that you see out on the desk. That's the, actually not, no, it's the Stream Deck, the face cam, the keyboard and mouse, and microcontroller programming. That goes to a USB-C hub so that all of this stuff can share all the bandwidth that it needs, because this thing needs a lot of power and needs a lot of data. So USB-C hub, then with an extended USB-C cable, goes along the back of the desk, all the way back, directly into the back of this computer, not through any other plugs. I tried to set up the rack so that it was its own thing, and I could unplug all the cables that go into the rack at the back of the rack, but adding those little, like female-to-female adapters in one of these like key panels or whatever, keyway panels, keystone panels, makes the signal degrade faster. So, hello, fellow humans. Greetings, also a human. How are you this human day? Yeah, some of the USB-C ones suck too because they don't put the resistors on. So they only work with USB-C to USB-A. What? That's, yeah. USB-C is really good and everybody's moving to it. I am unfortunately a dinosaur and I've had this for long enough that it's still got a USB micro. And any plug into this plug is a chance for the entire thing to shear off of the board. It's very annoying. These were not rolled out and implemented properly. And actually USB-C probably still suffers from this, is that the anchoring pins are not properly engineered on a lot of things. Basically, and this is from personal experience, the anchors to the case really, by all means, are best implemented if they are through hole. When they're through hole, the solder is going to act like a rivet, and then it becomes very difficult for this to lift off of the pad. But what happens, and I think this looks like a prime example of it, they don't want to spend the time to solder such a big ground pad. And so there's a thin layer of solder on it, and it's a surface mount pad without a via. A via can act like a rivet. A via is what these little holes are that go through the circuit board, like right there. If you have a via and it's exposed, like the holes for, you know, like these Amogas, all these little Among Us here, all these little Amogers, that hole goes all the way through. And if you solder that pin, the solder will stick on both sides and act as a pretty strong rivet. So, and listen, I know this because I've seen electronics. For 10 years, I've worked on electronics that have blown up, like as in a bomb. So I know what strengthens things on circuit boards. So basically, and I guess these two anchors back here would be the ones that are going to do all the brunt work, because you can see that those actually are on through-hole pads. I don't know if these are through-hole or not. I would hope they are. That would mean that there would have to be a cutout for it. Oh, look at that. Yeah, there we go. They could have soldered that a little longer. If they had soldered that a little longer, the front two look like they're pretty strong, but really just getting the solder to flow all the way through those vias is going to keep this thing on here. It's going to lock it in. I've had many of these little plugs where you plug it in and they're only relying on the interface of the copper to the FR4, which is a fiberglass substrate. And so you go to plug it in, whole thing rips off, and then these traces will peel out, and it'll peel out a bunch of the traces, and I have to sit in there and fix it. This looks like it was properly engineered, but the soldering is not quite there yet. It should be good. It should be okay. USB-C suffers from the exact same thing. It's just, I think in the standard, they explicitly wanted to have either through holes or a via in that pad. So USB-C might not suffer from the same thing. USB-C can be pretty difficult to plug in the first time too, much like USB micro, which has little metal springy snaps on it. So the first time ever that you plug these things in, there can be quite a bit of mechanical resistance, and that leads to a shear off. It's very bad. Yeah, the spring hooks on the micro. I mean, it holds it in really nicely, right? It holds it in, ow, really nicely. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Okay. Getting hit by this stuff. All right, so, and again, the way that I've set up my desk to program stuff, I've got a mouse cable from an old dead Steel Series mouse. I don't know why. All these Steel Series mice. It goes from this hub, out and around, behind everybody, over to this corner, where it plugs into the Valve Steam Controller 1. That was a Steam Controller 2 as of a couple days. All 38 seconds of it on the market before selling out. It goes to this little weighted doohickey that they had for their little wireless receiver on their controller. I would assume that the new controller is just Bluetooth Low Energy, and so they don't need to have a dongle. A dingle-dangle dongle. Gamble Putty, Devon, Knacker Thrasher. I used to have the entire it's Mr. Gamble Putty sketch. I used to have that memorized. Probably still do. All right, so the catch on this thing is that you got to make sure that their stupid little power button is on, and they've got a little power light for you to see that it's on. I've run into that problem before where I forget to turn this thing on, and I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. I can't do a hello world. Why is this happening? So they opened it up for reserves today, one per account. that has made a purchase before April. That's good on you, Valve. Get those scalpers. I don't know why we are not, as a society, much more hostile to scalpers. Maybe certain businesses just don't care. A sale's a sale. All right, port. So I'm going to look at the port. Oh my God. Dogs, it's just dogs barking here. I probably shouldn't have streamed today because of the limitations in my concentration ability. It might be COM5. I'm going to turn this off, and we're going to see if COM5 is here. Okay, it is COM5. It is COM5. So turn this thing back on. I got to be careful not to turn it on and off too rapidly because it'll overwhelm my USB, and then the USB stack just crashes and comes back, and that means that I have to recalibrate the things that are supposed to control cameras. The joy of having a House of Cards-esque custom-engineered setup for your multimedia job. You guys can blame Leb TV Live on that. Also partially the other Lone Star, because those two gremlins, they feed off of each other's energy, and they do really cool stuff with things like Node-RED and custom AV setups. So COM5, we've got our thing, and so we're choosing COM5. I guess I've got all of the programming stuff set up, I suppose. And then let's just try to hit it with, because this is the generic ESP8266 module. It's literally just the module. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to hit upload, and then all of my mistakes are going to be thrown up in my face as if it was a disciplinary measure. I have debug off on this one because we're just using the built-in LED as a debugger. Yeah, I don't disagree with people going out and buying Steam controllers. Like, I like it. I think it's a cool thing. It is a $100 controller, and so I am immediately priced out of that. If I were what I originally visioned this channel as being, I would immediately buy something like that and then take it apart on stream, and we could take a look at all of the stuff in it and what I think of the stuff in it. All the stuff that I think. That's the important part. That's the really important part about the channel, is that there are thousands of, well, hundreds, tens, there's plenty of other channels that take stuff apart and look at what it's made of and, you know, what the different chips are on it and everything. That exists already. I can't replace that. I'm not unique in that manner, but my opinions on the thing cannot be replicated by another website. So there's the spin, is you've got an electrical engineer who's designed many a circuit board for many different applications, including stage shows and DJ sets and bombs alike, weighing in on opinions on what this much more professional and storied and capable manufacturer has created. All right, so we don't have spin knocker anymore because I took that out of the function. When we check if there's an MQTT signal after polling the client, we just immediately do the thing that we want it to do because it's so simple. We're just checking to see if our MQTT on or off signal has been sent in. So I'm going to re-upload that and see if it'll actually go into the device once it compiles. Make a reservation, but I'd like to wait until it's at least 6 months in people's hands. Valve knows what they're doing, you know. Part of holding off could very well be justified that you want people to make game profiles for it, because I think that's where the other Valve controller, the Steam Controller 1, really came into its fruition, is when people really started to make complicated and interesting profiles for it. Sorry. Oh my God, ISO C++ forbids comparison between a pointer and an integer. Huh? What are integer? Okay, so do I need to make it a string array? It can't just be a character now because we off and on as our signal. So the message length is gonna, message size is gonna be, so if I do character array message, will this auto size it? Maybe I need to look into look into how they're doing it in other of these programs. This comes from what library? Arduino MQTT client. So file, examples, Arduino MQTT client, simple receive, maybe callback. I don't know if the callback is necessary. I should probably make it capable of checking what its status is, but we don't need to build that in yet. I'll make them super duper simple, and if I need them to turn off, then I'll unplug them. I'll just unplug it. What is all this? Okay, SSID password. This is probably what I used to write the original one. Yeah, it is. It's exactly the same. Okay, let's go down here. Client poll in the thing, and then void on MQTT message. Received a topic, length, bytes. While client available, serial print, a charactered MQTT client read. While client available, print the character that you read. So that's not really what we're looking for, sort of. That's where I got the original code. That's why I kind of don't know what I'm doing. MQT client. So we did simple receive callback. Simple receive is probably going to be the same thing, but it won't. Well, where's the callback? Oh, I guess this is the callback. All right, let's just see if they do something different here, if I can get some inspiration on this. Down we go, down to the bottom. Int message size, parse message. If it has size, receive the message topic. That would be it parsed. And then we're just printing the read. Man, I need to remember how to do Arduino C. Whether or not I can do comparisons on a string or if it's even coming in as a string, because this is just store our MQTT client read as a character while it's available. And if it reads all of those, does it become unavailable? Or is that just checking to see if a message came in? And then we serial print as individual characters the entirety of this thing. Does it iterate through? Okay, tools, file, examples. I'm still trying to learn how to program. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I don't know a lot. Advanced callback, that's probably not going to do what I want it to do either. I need to figure this out, this little programming thing. Or we could make it a 1 or a 0 like I was originally planning to do, because we were able to actually make the thing properly spit out a single character and translate that into a number. I could have it do that with a 0 or a 1, but I was hoping that we could check the ASCII contents or something. So down here, in topic, print line, client poll, timer, hello world, sending topic. See, it's just concatenating this stuff, payload plus equals, with strings, and it's calling, okay, capital S string. Oh, so I could just, okay. So I'm gonna make, all the way down here. This one is spinny light. Yeah, this is the one that we're actually coding in. So string is equal to client read if message is equal to on, if message is equal to off. So this is declared as a string, and we're comparing it to this string. Strings go in quotes, right? I'm pretty sure about that. Let's check to see if that compiles. Processing. Moving to a different IDE might mean that this compiles a little faster. I feel like this should be a little lighter and quicker than it is. There's a lot of stuff. It's doing a lot of stuff with the ESP8266 package, as you can see. Damn it. Conversion from int to string. Arduino compare whole string. There might be a function that does this. And the equals ignore case methods. Oh. So if message dot equals ignore case to on. So we need to use that methodology. It's like something that's baked into Arduino that helps us do string comparisons because microcontrollers are stupid. Need more parentheses on these things. I wonder if I could do mqtt client.read equals ignore case. That might be a little bit much. Hey, Dutchmania. Does this work or do you need to do a string? Or that, yeah, it's Arduino is C++, but they've done it their own way. So it's C++, we call it C++ minus because it's not quite plus plus. It's just a little bit off. And so sometimes you end up in the Arduino docs looking up things like equals ignore case. I don't think I can do both a read and an equal ignore. That would be a little bit too, that's fine. It's fine. This ESP has got very little to do. So if we're not like brutally efficient about everything, I think we'll be okay. Let's just check to see if it likes that. So if I do capital O or capital F, why would I do capital F? Anyway, if the capitalization is weird, it's fine. By God, it might compile. Sure does take a while for us to get there, doesn't it? Damn it. From int to string is ambiguous. String message. Do I need to do string of the client read? But is that going to come in numerically or is that going to come in, will it come in as an ASCII character number? But I guess that's what the string is. So maybe that'll do. I thought it came in as a string, as an ASCII string, but I guess not. It comes in as an ASCII, whatever you defined it as. In this case, I guess originally a number that would needed to have been converted, but we stored it as a character or an int or something. We made it into an int by casting it. Maybe we didn't need to cast it originally. That's what threw me off. We casted it as an int, and then it was the ASCII int number, and then we would convert that into a number. But now I just don't care. It can be a string of ASCII that represents on or off, the word on or the word off. I can't just use the first letter. Which I could do if I made it a 1 or a 0. So it's like, where do I want to spend all my energy? Okay, so that fixed it, huh? All right, so let's see if it works. So we've got the board selected as COM5. It doesn't have an IP address yet, but once we do upload this, it will get on my network and it'll have an IP. And then in the port, we'll have another device down here in the network ports. That's another way we know that it works. We already know that part of the code works. We have the right stuff in there because we got it from the fart box, which works famously. So let's upload it to COM5 and see what happens. Been trying to figure out how to make a virtual environment or something to learn C++ so I don't somehow accidentally break something. But the internet just keeps returning with the answer, Python just does that for you by default. I mean, if you start up a VM from some kind of a server, they can't stop you from doing all your tutorials in that. You know, you just need to spool up a virtual machine. Everything else is your choice. Wow, this is a weird thing. It's telling you where it's writing. little bit more involved than I expected. It's also taking a shitload of time. It's taking forever. It's been a bit since we did the ESP8266 stuff. This should be very easy though, because basically I left myself a huge bread of trail crumbs. Why does my brain do that? Okay, hard restarting. You listen. We're not using the hard. All right. Boink. I see a blue light on, and that is the built-in LED. And so I don't know if this thing got the memo. Let's check to see if it's showing up in the programmer tools. Port. Spinny light 1 at 192.168.2.224. Listen, can you guys keep my IP address a secret here, please? Hey, what's up, Walrus? How you doing? We were just talking about my IP address. Can you guys keep that? Just don't share that for me. Okay, so anyway, spinny light exists and it's on the network. So why is the built-in LED on? I might not have as much control of the built-in LED as I thought I did. Let us make a node red flow that's going to trigger it. So I go to my Intrepid fart box and I dig around in my fart box for a little bit. Why did I call that thing the fart box? That makes this sound really bad. I'm really shafted in my fart box. Wait, no, stop saying things. All right, where's the channel point? Channel point redeem. What are we doing there? Oh, this is looking for live status. This is the whether or not the channel's live. And I think I'm trying to make it. No? Oh, this is for the server. I'm trying to make sure that the server, my file server, doesn't have a terrible warning message in it. But I don't know if this works. I don't know if that works. I don't know if that works. Where did the... Oh, point redeem fart. There we go. We still have yet to come up with a second point redeem. I'll come up with something eventually. So I'm going to steal this whole thing. And I'm going to put that up by the raid stuff. Because we'll replace this one, the set scene one. So put that there. And I'm going to take a toggle. And I'll make it toggleable. Set message payload reward message. We're not doing that. So actually what I want is a timer. So let's move this out just a little bit. I need to, there's a little bit extra going on here. So actually instead of this whole flow, we're not going to do this. Boop. We're going to do a delayed multi-message. So I'll take that block and I'll take it over here and drop it just right there and delete that. And instead that is going to, not the fart box, but we need to set it to the spinny thing. So server is serve2, I suppose. And the topic is what? Where's my code? Where is my code? You know what? I should probably close this and just remember that it exists. So we can work on LinBus again later. I'll have to make those also speak CAN bus, but Wi-Fi advanced callback, we don't need anymore. And channel point fart node close. Okay, so those are the basis for everything that we're doing here. We are doing spinny light, and we are spinny light 1 on that stuff. And the server topic is spinny light. Spinny light. And then what were we sending the fart box? We were sending it a character. Where is that flow? I'm so lost. Okay, we'll find it. We'll find it. Oh yeah, there we send that. That's a different one. Oh yeah, this was supposed to set off the little punchy thing. That's right. And then that was the timing. Oh, I should have looked at that code. That code would have given us better. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. We are where we are. So set message payload, and in this case, yeah, it's just going to be a string. On. And then this one, off. Done. We don't have it doing the LED built in, do we? Oh no, yes we do. That's what I programmed. That's literally what I programmed. So we have it setting it on for 5 seconds and then turning it off again. And that goes to spinny light, which I don't know if I need to edit the broker config. That goes to serve 2. What does this one go to? Oops. Serve 2, and it's lowercase p, capital B. And this one goes to spinny light. I guess that's all I need to do. What's the name down there? No name. It doesn't need a name. Okay. All right, so that's ready to test. I guess that's all the information I needed to give it. You can add boxes around each of these flows. Not sure if you knew it would allow you to label the different items. I have like notes labels on them, but I should probably use boxes. I should probably box them up, yeah. I generally just try to keep them kind of separate from one another. Maybe one of these days when I'm organizing stuff, I can actually box them all up and make them look a little nicer. All right, so let's try this. What do you mean? Oh, these aren't properly configured. What's going on here? Message.payload to just on. What did I do wrong? Hold on. I'll figure it out. Well, it's not defined on the one up here anyway. Literally just, oh, I see, no brackets. Okay. And this was not set to string, it was set to the message payload to the value JSON. Okay. All right, so let's test. Deploy. Close. And then if I look at that LED and I hit toggle, nothing happens. And I hit toggle, nothing happens. I don't know what's going on. And we don't have serial prints to tell us if anything's going on. Let's maybe we'll go back to pin 2. There's no like, we just have that built-in LED, but the built-in LED I think is not what it thinks it is in the ESP8266. I don't know if that counts. It's probably set to something weird. So let's set it back to supposedly, well actually here, ESP8266 Arduino pinout. We need to search. And I like a nice picture. See, this is the pinout of the Wemos. I need the direct. Here we go. Oh, Google Images. Can we please just go directly to the image again? What a pain in the butt. GPIO2 TXD1. GPIO0 is flash. We could use, I guess, 4. We'd use like any of them. It doesn't really matter, but let's just use GPIO 4. So let's go back into our code and we're going to set the pin, switch pin to 4, which is this one right here, just right in the middle of the right side. I don't, built-in LED, I guess, I don't know what it's configured to. I'd have to look into the core. So in that case, going all the way down, this is not our best. I'm just getting rid of all that commenting that's not even relevant. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Just uncomment our things. And send it. Well, we can do it through the COM port. I was going to send it via Wi-Fi, but this is fine too. We've already got it plugged in. And I don't have like an external power that I can connect right now. We will set it up with an LM1117, and then it'll be able to run 12 volts on the 12 volt supply, and then we will switch 12 volts to our motor thingy via the extra little board. And then I'll get the hot glue out and we can finalize the whole thing. COM5, blinky lights blinking. There they go. Blink, 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 blink. And the dog is barking. She does not quit. This dog is a guard dog. We never asked her to be a guard dog, but apparently she took it upon herself to become the house's guard dog. This is after I bought all of the motion sensors and stuff for the Amazon lady. I didn't need to do that. I just buy a dog. If anything moves outside, I know. Because if I hear barking and I don't get the motion detected at the front door, that means that something outside of the purview of the... Oh, good, this thing is done. Okay, so now that that thing has been uploaded, all I need to do is monitor that one pin. I don't really have an LED that I can plug into this thing. I should probably make like a little board full of LEDs on this, but we'll just put the multimeter to it in one of the least exciting ways that we can display whether or not a pin has gone high or low. So I'm going to go to DC volts on this thing and turn it on. This is one of the least exciting ways that I could possibly display this to you guys. And we'll go from ground to IO4. Nothing. Okay. And then if I contort myself over here, hold on. Okay, I gotta, with my left hand, go here. And this thing is connected. And so if I hit toggle and I gotta get this on the right pins, this is not fun. Here to here. I don't have another hand to do this with. How am I gonna click the mouse? I can't click the chat. Can you click this for? You can't. I could have hooked it up so that you guys could control this. Why did the light turn off? Oh, I just shorted it out. Oh, good job, me. Very good work. Very good work. Hold on. My pinky was resting on the reset button. No. In order to hold my hand still, I had my pinky finger on this button, which is reset. I was like, why is the LED not on? All right, we're going to use the chopstick method with these and go from IO4 to this ground pin. There we go. Now I have a free hand. So I'm going to hit toggle. Make sure I'm on the pins. Okay. And 3, 2, 1, go. Shit. Okay, make sure I'm on the pins again. Toggle it again. Toggle it again. Again. 3, 2, 1, off. Okay. Something isn't working. Something ain't right. Yeah. So we definitely chose IO4, or at least I typed in the number 4. So when I'm checking against ground with 4, we should see 3v3 on IO4. So just make sure that I'm on, and then click it. And now it gets on. Yeah, no, it's not me, it's you. All right, so, and then that would have set it off again. Okay, so question is, which Arduino MQTT client library do you use? I don't know. You don't think read returns a string? I mean, I'm casting it as string, but I don't think it is castable. Because we had it, the way we had it working before is we sent it a singular character. That's 0 through 9, and that 0 through 9 would be a number representing what ASCII character it was, and we had to translate that into a number using ASCII stuff. But anyway, so yeah, it might not be coming in the way that we think it's coming in. I was trying to use the example software. The library, oh geez, the library manager is going to be very difficult for me to, oh yeah, that's not going to print anything because we don't debug on. Okay, so why don't, yeah, it's just, I think it is rolling in as just a single byte. And if I were to do that, I would have to put it into a string. I mean, I could just make it a 1 or a 0. That doesn't work. Hold on, I'm just thinking. Let me just think about this. See, equals ignore case would be the way to do it, but then it would, the string just use the number 1 or 0. I want to do it my way. I want to do it my way. I thought it would be easier. That's why we did not do this project because we thought it would be easy, or we thought it would be hard. We did it because we thought at the time it would be easy. And the examples aren't quite up to where I'd want them to be. Whoa, why are these like that? Arduino MQTT client is the library that I'm using. I don't know what version they're up to. But hold on, let me see if I can find the other thing. What was the other thing? I'm a little scatterbrained. Hey, what's up, Sid Heresy? I already mentioned that you called me royalty yesterday. I'm not royalty. I'm not. What's up? Hey, hey, it's no problem. We're trying to get my stupid spinny lights working. So I want to open up the code for the punch box and see how we did that. I probably, see, I'm sending it a payload that's like a whole ass number. So how does that work? Only Willow's royalty. It's a nice way of saying old. Oh no, it's the royal old. The royal old. I saw you were looking into linear circuits stuff. I only have the one linear circuits module, but it does look like there's some really cool stuff at linear circuits, and I do like. I mean, it's a little bit chaotic. Like the schematics are never like amazing, but and the way they put like direct component labels on the board is crazy. You built everything from nonlinear circuits. That's like a module a month, but it is kind of amazing to see that stuff. Have you ever built anything from Hajiwo? I did a Hajiwo style interpretation, and then I learned that interpreting Japanese software is very difficult. He's really into muntzing. Is that munting? Wait a minute, that's a different thing for the. That's a different thing for those. That's a phrase that. All right, where are we? We're looking up. I guess solenoid skeleton is really what we were doing. In the library, read indeed returns a byte, and you can give a buffer and size as an augment. Can I paste the link? Yeah, absolutely. If it's relevant, you're absolutely allowed to do that. I will allow it. That's me not being royal. Not royal. Not royal. All right, let me take a look at that. Thank you, Dutch Mania. Appreciate that. GitHub, Arduino, bring that over here. Just chaos, chaos, chaos in the windows over here. Muntzing is taking a circuit down to the least amount of components possible. I see, I see. Much like what we're doing in software. Client read, byte B. So we would want to iterate through and read that into a string. What are we doing down here? If message size is greater than or equal to 1, int parse int. And then we're able to just use the parsed int. Huh. Oh, because it has a parse int specifically. Does it have a parse string? There's another read. There was another. So read buffer and size. peak, flush, stop flushing, connected, set ID, set username. Okay, so back up here. So I need to use the, well, let's buffer and size. I just learned the term muntzing like a couple of months ago. I learned the term munted a couple months ago. We are not the same. The thing about linear circuits, let me just quickly go off on a diatribe, but I'm waiting for Dutch Mania to tell me something new because I don't understand what I'm looking at. Hold on a sec. I got to look at those parse functions in a second, and I barely understand what's going on. With the nonlinear circuits, what he's doing is releasing all these circuits, and they're made just with chaos, right? And that's amazing. And regardless of the muntzing, I'm using that word ironically. I'm not using that actually. I just have to make sure that people know that. Regardless of the muntzing, a couple of the conventions of circuit board design could really be useful if followed. And one of the things, the tenets of designing circuit boards that I wish that they would do is use numbering to label your components. And I know it's cliche, and I know you don't want to be the man by using R1 and C1 and stuff like that. But when you build a circuit board and you use those labels, and then you have the types of problems that printed circuit boards have, like part availability or adjustments to components, you do not have to reprint your board in order for it to be confusing. Not confusing. You don't have to reprint your board. If R13, I want to change the value, I change it in a spreadsheet. If I want to point somebody towards a location on the board and say, hey, you have to replace these 12 ohm resistors with 14s, I can say go to R9 and R10 and change them in the spreadsheet and tell people who got the old board, hey, R5 and 6 needs to be changed. Instead of the 4K resistor located here and then have to include a picture of the board for people to figure out where to go. He uses a lot of abandoned designs for the 70s and 80s. That's cool, but they really could use that one convention of putting R's and C notations on it. Because on my what is it called again? It's the wobulator, the thing that makes all that crazy noise. It was the it was like the neural pathway circuit that he made that just wobulates. It just makes wobbling, which is awesome. But we slowed it down way far, and there were some revisions on it in order to turn it into control signals versus audio signals. And he had to include pictures of the board. So what about printed tiny QR cable with a link to the current spreadsheet? I mean, if you can maintain that link for the rest of time, but the link to the spreadsheet is not relevant. You don't need to have a link on there directly to the spreadsheet. What you do is you use R and C, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And wherever you have the notes on how to build this board, you have your spreadsheet with all the component values in it. Because if I was manufacturing this board, I wouldn't put a link on this. Wherever I host the how-to, and then if I want to do a revision to that, I just say, hey, revision, change R1 and C1. Or I say, hey, if you want to build a different version, change R6, C7. It'll point directly to a component that has its own location on the board, and it's got one thing. If I put only values next to those components, I say, hey, this specific 6K resistor, well, what does this specific mean? You have to actually include like a picture and have an arrow pointing to it, because you've got multiple 6K resistors on your board. They do that? Yeah, I would assume that he learned it since then. I've only built one linear circuits design, so that was and it was a relatively old one, I think. So, but it's actually just easier to do. It's easier to do. Because your CAD program where you're designing things, even if you're doing it all topsy-turvy, you can just have it poop out a bill of material spreadsheet. Yeah, I mean, generally with circuit boards, if you just find a circuit board, there's no obligation to link you to a specific spreadsheet. You can Google that if you want to try to find it, and then people will host the PDFs of your how-to or your tutorial. But if you're not building a board that's specifically for a tutorial, you don't really have to have that PDF anywhere of your bill of materials. Everyone will figure it out. But if you want to do a board revision, having individually labeled C's and R's can really help you make it easy. I think ECAD program is using ones on Win95 and or Windows NT4. I used to use CirCAD, which is similar to that, and probably could make circuit boards with it, but I don't know. I like my Fusion 360 3D models. They're nice. Most of his stuff is so simple that that's really a bad thing. Yeah, you can just figure out what's going on anyway. It's just, he ran into the exact same problem that I'm describing here with the board that I had, where it was like, if you want to make this a CV, control voltage, if you want to make this operate at control voltage speeds, here's the part of the board with this resistor and this capacitor, and then you have to change this part of the board. Here's the picture with this resistor, this capacitor. It's way easier if you just have a spreadsheet that says use this value. It's like replace all the 1Ks with 4Ks. It's like da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so there's client read, but we also have client parse int. Is there a client parse string? What did I just hit? What did I hit a control and then another button and something weird happened. Control F, parse. There's parse message. That's not the message topic. Parse message. Oh, what? Why is it? It's not in here. It's not searching whole world, the word. Whole word. See, this one does parse int, and then what else did we had? Because that directly makes it into an integer. And I guess 300 translated into 300, not 3, unless something was going wrong. I think I serial printed it. Yeah, I serial printed it to make sure that it was what I thought it was. And then this is my firing code. So, I mean, you know, I could just make it a 1 or a 0. That would definitely save me a little bit of struggle. Harder to troubleshoot, like trying to figure out which op amp is which from the schematic to the board. But how much harder is it if your U's and your R's are not labeled individually and it just says like OPA 37 and then this one's also OPA 37? That's harder to troubleshoot than having U5 and U4. Oh, you're agreeing with me. Okay, sorry. sorry. Just a different example. Just a different example. So I was wondering if there was a way that I could get the string out of it, like parse string. It seems like in order to do that, I have to do like string array functions in order to get, why is this unable to be clicked? Why can't I? Hello? There it goes. Okay, weird. I mean, if I just take message size, why is my cursor off? Arduino, what's going on? All right, we're gonna, oh boy. Oh, we got edit. File, save. We're gonna close this and open it again. Something weird happened. Open recent. Spinny light. So, yeah, I'm just a little. I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking there's got to be like an easy way that I can do a string compare. But it seems like I've got to iterate through the message length and populate that into an array, which I can do. There may also already be a function to do it, which is why I was wondering about the parse message commands. MQTT client parse int. We had int client.read, but if I use one of the parse commands, is there a parse string? But I don't know, because the code supposedly is here, but I didn't find my parse command. We have parse message. I could just write it and hope that it works at all. We could just try it. Oh yeah, this is the wrong code anyway. This is the solenoid. What if I just do message is equal to client parse string. This is really grasping at straws. I need to look at the actual code to see if that's a thing. It's not. It's not. It's not. What if I just parse it normally? That's what they do in their code. But then it's got all these properties, like length. That's what they have in their example. Hold on a sec. Let me pull that up. Hope this isn't frustrating for the programming types. Yeah, where's their example? Arduino MQTT client. Any of these probably do the right thing. Advanced callback, maybe. We'll just do, well, advanced callback. I think that was the one. Oh, it's okay, Dutchmania. This is a pastebin with an example of how to use this. Okay, one sec. I'm looking up a different example. We'll see what that does. In topic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sheesh, that's a lot of stuff going on here that I don't understand. On MQTT, message topic, message dupe, message QoS, message retain, and then the size in bytes. While client available, print the read of the characters. So is that for the length of it? Do I need to iterate through? All right, let's take a look at Dutchmania's pastebin. Gotta pull it over from the third monitor. There. Make it nice and big. Buffer size, so we've got a buffer going. If bytes read is greater than 0, bytes read, okay, the buffer, character buffer, compare with another string, string expected, if receive is equal to expected, print line match. Oh my God, this is, okay, so I barely understand this as well. So I'm wondering if, for the message size, I go through and I populate the string as an array of characters, right? Because that's, okay, hold on. Arduino string is an array of characters. Because I think that's what I would need to do. And my string would have to have a fixed size as a buffer. Print flag false, print line, convert to character array. What the hell? That's not what I was looking for. No, so character array is different. This always feels like magic. There's multiple solutions. Yeah, and I'm kind of being stubborn and kind of going down a road where things are more complicated, but I also just wanted to understand strings a little bit better suddenly. String copy. Here, let's look at arduino.cc, the reference, to see what Arduino specifically knows how to do. I can't believe that this has been bought out by, I'm not even going to think about it. Language reference, is this the, no, this isn't, it's not what I was looking for. It's still on the site. I think they've reordered the site, so it's actually hard for me to figure out where stuff is. Programming hard software, learn tutorials. This is programming, maybe. Oh no, there it was. Language reference. I saw it. I saw it. Language reference. There we go. This is a nice page, and I hope it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. Bother doing the complicated thing? I've never heard of such things. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. I appreciate you guys sticking with me on this one. Bits and bytes, math, digital I/O, analog I/O, trigonometry, interrupts, advanced I/O, characters. Is digit, is graph, is hex, is uppercase, is white space, interrupts, time. Where's all my stuff? Interesting. Okay. Where's all my string stuff? Read, write, pin mode, interrupts, cosine, sine, and then we have characters. Is digit is an interesting one. Huh, I probably could use that in the other one to check for 0 to 9. I guess they don't really want you to use strings all that much. So they don't really tell you what you can do. Because, yeah, we could detect if stuff is stuff, but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for on-off. I guess is equal... Well, that's for... Why is there nothing about strings in here? String class, there are multiple versions of construct strings. Constant string of characters, a single constant character. So string, this string is equal to string 13. What? Constant string. See, usually we like dealing with numbers as just like binary addresses and stuff, but this is a little bit more complicated. So it gives you the string D, which is hexadecimal representation of the value 13, or if you prefer binary. So that's casting things as string. And so you can give it a value with decimal places, a value, and then the base. Okay, that's a slightly different thing. Character at, compare to, concatenate. C string ends with equals, equals ignore case. Length. Set character at. Huh. That casts it into a character array. Huh, okay. So if I use set character at, I could probably turn it into a string and then use string comparisons. That's a little bit much. So it would be something like, this is how I'm thinking about it. What's going on? What is that doing? Dave Seuss raiding with a party of 100 billion people. What's up, Dave? 5005. How you guys doing? Dave was in here a minute ago talking. I guess I can do a little tutorial. Right now we're doing like some programming. So I'm going to switch gears so that I don't overwhelm the people that are just here. Dave 5005 runs a really cool stream. He's been streaming for quite a few hours today. I was watching him earlier today while drinking my coffee. I am here on the East Coast of the United States. Welcome to Philadelphia, the seat of civilization as we know it today. I do projects. My desk is full of crap, and this is not your normal crap. This stuff is crap that's supposed to be funny. This is supposed to be funny. I bought these indicator lights that you would put on the top of your car in order to not cause a car accident when you're stopped in the middle of the street. And I hooked them up to the phone line. Well, no, not really. I hooked them up to power. And when hooked up to power, they're actually, why is that at 8 volts? Okay, whatever, that's at 8 volts. The power supply is at 8 volts. When you hook these up, they do a whole cool thing. We've got a lot of interactive stuff on this stream. And my big claim to fame was this big board that burns the names of subscribers onto itself. But I like stuff that does things in meat space. Meat space. Meat space is this, not, don't get your heads, it's not what you think. So anyway, I like doing stuff in meat space and I like giving chat control of things. Why is that stuck to the bottom of there's a giant magnet on the bottom of this thing. So what I want to do is when somebody raids the channel, I want a bunch of my lights to turn off and then the spinema thing to spinema thing. I think that would be extremely funny and very disruptive. And so that's what we're working on today. This is supposed to be part 2 and the final part in working on this, because what we've done is figured out how these things work. And the way they work is so super stupid simple. It's basically a lamp that does not spin surrounded by a reflector that does spin with just a little DC motor on a spring on the side of it. It's beautifully simple. Beautifully simple. You just feed that 12 volts and then it spins around like this. I do all kinds of little interactive things like that. If you have enough channel points, you can actually fart physically, well, audibly, in my shop. This thing is basically what these will become, except this is for channel points. You spend the channel points, one of 9 of this little dollar store fart noise maker farts can be triggered by you guys, and it's extremely disruptive. It interrupts me in the middle of talking a bunch of the time. This is my shop. It's a room in the house where literally everything I own resides. I work on electronics. We've got a lot of different cameras here that we can view stuff nice and up close with. I can do soldering, all kinds of different things. Right now, we're in the middle of programming, which is not something I necessarily really understand very well. I've done it by the seat of my pants, and it's all microcontroller programming. I build stuff, though. And so if you'll notice, there are some car parts. There's some musical stuff. Whatever the hell this thing is called. Yeah. My brother dropped off an entire BMW car seat, and I'm building that into an entire gaming setup. So that's one of the projects. The other one that I'm actually really fixing to get back to is called Burn the Subs. That's another one that's powered off of the Twitch API, where if you subscribe to this channel, your name will get burnt onto a block of wood with a blue laser. This I had going all the way up until the pandemic. And then the pandemic made it so that I was going to bring the old boards, that's this thing and this thing. These are the old boards that were Burn the Subs. Those are filled, that one has about 6,000 names on it. This one less so. I think it's somewhere around 2,000 maybe. We made a much smaller font, and so it fits much nicer on that. And so I made a stand with the 2 boards on it, and then the pandemic struck. And it was like, I guess I'm not going to a convention anymore. That's quite a Blaster fan. It's a Air King. You blast, King. This is an Air King fan, and I buy these because there's only a couple moving parts. It's basically the spindle, the fan blade, and 2 bearings are the only parts that move. And so this has lasted longer than any other fan that I've ever bought. I use it for white noise because I used to do festivals. I used to actually work at festivals making crazy art stuff and go to raves and stuff back in the late 90s. And so my soundtrack is so I put a fan on my back. I have a lavalier microphone, so it doesn't really pick up the fan. That's Willow's bed, my corgi. If anybody says Willow in chat, we just made this a couple streams ago, where if you say your name, hold on. Oh, you did it for me. A little picture of Willow pops up. So I'm doing all this stuff with Node-RED. This is all powered by something called Node-RED. Node-RED is a lot like this thing is really distracting. Could you shut? Okay. All I hear is this thing is flashing lights at me. So yeah, Node-RED is really quite powerful. It's this thing here, Java flows. You don't really need to know too much about it other than that. When an event sub comes in, I can filter it, depending on if it's a chat message or if it's a sub or if it's a channel point reveal. And then I can filter those messages through a bunch of stuff. And so if I have start soon going and some little jerk in chat says, what does start soon mean? I'm dumb. I petulantly make it enormous, and then I turn it back into the little one. Because people don't seem to understand that that means that I'm just talking to people and not working on a project. So stuff like that I've been able to implement by just throwing Java flows in and then deploying them on my file server. There's a lot going on here, and it's actually kind of tough for me to, it's a long explanation for me to bring you guys along with me. We do smart boy stuff here. We work on smart stuff, and we have lasers and all kinds of cool things. Recently, I've been hacking into a car headlight switch just because I used to have one. A friend of mine upgraded their BMW to have the Euro headlight height switch. And then my brother upgraded the interior of his BMW F10, which is a slightly newer one. It's like a 2014. And I couldn't find my old headlight switch. So I jumped on eBay, and it turns out these are like 20 bucks. So I bought one, and then I discovered there's a Euro one that has more buttons. So I bought the one with more buttons. These speak a particular kind of digital signal. It's called the LIN bus. It's the local internet connect bus. It's used in a lot of cars, but surprisingly, even just your headlight switch in your car is speaking ones and zeros. And that means that they don't have as many wires running around the car. So it's lighter and cheaper, less copper. Isn't that weird? And so this is its own independent device that we then brute forced. We basically asked the bus, hey, are you number one? And it's like, no. Are you number two? Are you number three? Are you number four? And it eventually replied. So I can get button presses from this headlight switch. It feels like a real car headlight switch, and we'll be able to turn that into something that I can use in games, but I can also use it to move stuff on my sort of luxury car build. Basically, I'm going to give chat the ability to adjust my seat and turn on seat heat, and adjust my steering wheel and turn on wheel heat. So you guys will basically be able to try to fold my clothes while I'm still wearing them using this car seat. So things like that, that's the kind of stuff that I really enjoy working on. I mean, our previous actual successful project was the previous iteration of this steering wheel, and it was something that would clip onto the side of a desk, and then I had this giant feedback steering wheel hooked up to a 20-pound servo motor. A 20-pound servo motor that we made a little pass-through on. That's my own circuit board there. And then this would strap to my desk. The thing is, this is like 20 pounds. And so lugging this onto my desk and strapping it to the side of my desk is not an easy thing to do. So this sat for a couple of years unused until my brother said, hey, do you want a car seat from a real car? You don't say no to something like that, you know? Anyway, welcome to what we're doing. I'm trying to get the final little legs of this thing. Aren't modern cars the pinnacle of overcomplicated wiring harness, whereas a 1971 would essentially be 4 wires? Well, okay, so everybody wanted electric doodads. Everybody in their car, they wanted electric doodads. They wanted windows that roll up and down. And so instead of having a hand crank, you have windows that roll up and down electronically. They wanted the seat to be adjustable electronically. And so they had the seat adjustable electronically. And it used to be that you would hit a button, and that button would flip a switch that would directly power a motor. Sometimes the button can't handle the amount of current, the amount of current that the motor wanted in order to do that job, like a headlight motor or headlight motor, and I do the wipers. The wiper motor would want like a lot of electricity all at once, and so your typical switch that would control that would burn up. How do you do that then if you're running individual wires? Well, then you put a relay in there. And so all of these individual controls are all using their own singular wires in order to do one single task. If you have something like a windshield wiper and you want it to run slow, used to be you could run it through a big resistor. And so they'd have a bunch of, like a ladder of resistors for the different voltages that your stalk would then command. And so that's 7 wires that you have to then send over to the windshield wiper motor. That cable weighs weight. it carries weight with it, and everything in efficiencies and fuel economy in cars is weight related mostly. So if you reduce the number of wires, if you guys hear barking in the background, that would be Willow barking at the door. She is actually, my dog has taken it upon herself to become a sentry. I have all of the Amazon lady things that'll tell me if somebody's skulking around outside of my house. But apparently she has taken it upon herself to become a guard dog. She has to mind the herd. Anyway, so all of those wires, if you can reduce the number of wires, you can save weight. And so, at least from my observation of BMW technology, they went to having a whole resistor ladder command a bunch of voltages and then tell some kind of a computer or a microcontroller that there was a different voltage on the line, and then it would interpret that and send a different signal of some kind to the windshield wiper motor. Now it's all digital. It's all digital. So you send it a 1 or a 0, 111000. You send that all on one wire, and the thing has power. And so it'll send back, this is what the status of a bunch of buttons is in one signal, and all of your wires are small. And then you have a controller that'll then send a signal that goes to the windshield wiper motor that also is told, hey, go this speed, and then it goes that speed. And so the complexity goes way up. You have diagnostics, which is nice. It can say, hey, I didn't get a signal, or hey, something's broken, or hey, I didn't get anything, so there's a problem between here and there. It's able to do that, diagnostics, which is a huge leg up on figuring out what's wrong with a car. Although you know, troubleshooting is a thing of its own. It's doable. But anyway, it's you get that, and then you also save a bunch of weight, and all your stuff is just locally controlled. For us, though, that poses just a bit of a difficulty because while the LIN bus standard is public, the CAN bus standard is public, the codes themselves, the contents of all of the individual signals themselves is proprietary. And so we don't know what's saying what. Now, in previous years on this stream, I have been streaming since 2016, when I got fired from a job. This Mercedes steering wheel speaks LIN bus, and so all of these buttons, including the horn, are all represented on a digital signal. Lucky for us, there's not that many addresses to go through, so we were able to just ask them all, and then this thing eventually replied. These have backlights on them, though. I don't know what the backlight code is. I don't know how to trigger the backlight. I found articles where this one person was putting like a Mercedes, I think he was putting like in whatever that crossover with Mercedes and Cadillac was or whatever, the Crossfire, I think. They were putting like a modern wheel in their Crossfire, and they figured out how to turn on the backlight to all the buttons, and they didn't say how. They didn't give any of the information on how to do it. And then I also saw somebody with the headlight switch, this thing, and they got the signal out from all the buttons, but then they said, oh, look, the backlight is on. And then they never said how. And then I got an email from somebody saying, hey, I actually have insider information. It's actually this signal. And I sent it the signal and it didn't turn on. I don't know what my problem is. I bet in like 10 to 20 years we'll do the same thing, just with Ethernet for all those doodads. Well, Ethernet is a lot of wires. That's the whole point of LIN bus, and they've been improving that system. But I mean, if you look at the back of this device, there's just a little dinky little 3-pin connector on it. And it's like your headlight switch is like this complicated, it's got a brain. It's a 16-bit microcontroller controlling my headlights. It's crazy to think about how integrated cars are like that. But anyway, what we've been doing is we've been trying to program microcontrollers, and we're literally doing, well, okay, so if you guys know my bio down there, you know that for 10 years of my life, I was in Quantico, Virginia, on the military base there, reverse engineering IEDs, as in looking at the individual properties of the circuits, making a schematic for it, writing a whole report on exactly how these things functioned, and figuring out what the minute differences between the boards we were receiving were. That was the whole effort, and it's in a news article from a billion years ago. You probably won't be able to find it. It's called Left of Boom. That was my job for many, many years until I got back to Philadelphia. No reason for me to mention anything about that, but coincidentally, we are trying to flip a switch at a distance. Coincidentally, but we're doing it over Wi-Fi. So basically, I've got a little motor controller-y kind of board, and I can just give this thing a 1 or a 0. I don't think this goes in reverse. I think this is just literally two what are called MOSFETs, which is a solid state way to flip a bunch of current to something. They're very fragile, so you got to be careful with them that you don't like give them reverse voltage or anything like that. But this thing is perfect for literally just flipping a switch. So we're going to put one of these on these things, and then we're going to put one of these on these things, and I'm going to put a little 12-volt regulator so this thing doesn't immediately blow up. Right now, what I'm trying to do is parse the information that we're sending it in order to get a signal back. You see, the fart box allows us to do a random fart, 0. If I redeem channel points, it's going to ask you to give it a number, 0 through 9. 0 means random, 1 through 9 is the farts that this thing can do. If you send it a 0, then it'll do a random fart. And if you send it anything else, it'll do a random fart. So if you send it, haha, I'm a butt, it'll just do a random fart, right? And I did that in Node-RED. I did that in Node-RED. So you did a willow redeem and a fart redeem at the same time. That's a little weird. So anyway, what happens if there is a redemption of channel points? We go down to point redeem. So this thing right here, this is just a distribution node. I did that just so it would look clean. Did we get like a double willow? A willow redeem. Yeah, if you say willow in chat, hey, what's up, Velkin? If you say willow in chat, there's a little picture of, like a random picture of willow. I'm gonna fill out that directory more. I need more random ones because I'm seeing a lot of the same ones over and over again. What's up, Velkin? Velkin's a moderator over at Roboz. Yeah, so anyway, we're trying to get the Spinamolites functioning, and we're looking at the function of the fart box. Hope there's a cooldown. There's no cooldown because the messages roll in as Java flows one at a time. So you send one message. Why would you guys do that? You see what happens when you give them just the... I gave them two things that they're able to do. They're able to set off farts, and they're able to put a picture of Willow on the screen. And I never thought they would put the 2 and 2 together. And so now we have a visual representation of a dog farting every time they redeem. You guys suck. My dog isn't like that. I hate you guys so hard. Oh my God. God damn it. I'm eating popcorn and watching Glitch Production fandom burn in flames as more drama. Oh no, did something else happen? Because last time the fandom was dredging up ancient history for jokes that were fine. It's, oh no, I said bad word. I didn't mean that. Don't interpret it wrong. That's apparently unacceptable as a joke in 2020. I'm not going to get into that. I just realized I have like 50K channel points. You must have won one of the rare gambas. Every now and then, by the way, I'm still kind of like, I'm streaming to the Dave subs, or the Dave viewers, sorry. The Dave viewers, because they're not coming from a tech channel. They're coming from like a gaming channel and a talk channel. And Dave is exceptional at both of, well, I don't know about gaming, but he's exceptional at talking. I look up to those guys, even though they're much younger than I am. I look up to those guys because they can just talk. And it's interesting. It's actually compelling for an extended amount of time. You can see I am on the crutch of talking about all the projects that I work on. So I am trying to cater to you guys a little bit and not get into the complete minutia of what's happening, while also letting you know that, you know, we work on pretty complicated stuff here. So I'm happy to have you. I love that you guys came over here, and I love the raid from Dave. That's very, very nice. But we need to work a little bit more simply now. I think what I'm going to do is we're gonna go to the 1 and the 0 and see that works. See that actually gets this thing to trigger, because then over the weekend, or if I stream tomorrow, we can do the putting together of the actual thing. I wish we were at that point where I got the thing to actually like do something. Oh no, what's going on? So what are theaters, Australia, blah, 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 chance to show the finale. Yeah, I've already sort of talked about that. Glitch Productions, if you guys don't know, is like an animation studio. I think they're Australian, right? But they have taken in some of these like young creators that used to be animators, because remember, YouTube kind of screwed over animation, and Adobe kind of screwed over animation by end-of-lifing Flash. We've talked about that before with Tom Thinks, the Twitch channel that I love. But yeah, so Adobe Flash, in terms of like distributable animation techniques, killed that. Everybody went to YouTube, got really good at animation with YouTube. Flash the speedster? No, like Adobe Flash, like that was my generation of internet culture, was all in Adobe Flash, and it all was just turned off one day. It's crazy. There's so many games that people are starting to like rediscover and put back in. Adobe, you know, like the company that likes squishing people under their heel. But yeah, they're kind of like trying to like bring back Adobe Flash stuff. And so all of these animators moved over to YouTube, where they became prolific. And then YouTube changed their algorithm and screwed everybody over. So now some of the more successful animators have moved to actually making production animation. And they've been doing gangbusters lately. And one of those productions, through a company called Glitch, which gives you a whole bunch of visibility right away if your pilot is good. Bethesda still uses Flash, really? Tom Thinks still uses Flash for his Twitch stream, where he actually animates the mouth of a drawing. And so he's able to bring his drawings to life through, you know, silly puppeteering by having these animations in Adobe Flash that he triggers with button presses. So he's able to make a talking mouth by hitting buttons in his setup, and he's able to draw stuff with a Wacom tablet and just be entertaining. It's kind of amazing. You guys should, Tom Thinks is the channel. But so anyway, these prolific animators have started to like make big deal productions, and they're getting seen by the big deal like Netflix and stuff. And so Glitch has been able to take the finale of a season of a cartoon to theaters, and then 2 weeks later, it'll be released on YouTube, where it has been released for free all along. There are some critiques to this methodology, and it's amazing that they've actually gone from, here's a cartoon that this kid made that we've kind of like funded and gets millions of views, to like, hey, this is in the theaters and people are paying for like movie tickets to go see. That's really cool. Unfortunately, it's a very linear, it's a serial television program. It's not episodic so much as it is like a whole plot with spoilers and big reveals at the last. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be like, the drama is going to be a mess, because people will go see it in the theater and they're going to jump and they're going to immediately spoiler everything, right? And then those of us that don't really want to go to the movie theater with a bunch of like kids, and I mean kids to mean like teenagers, are going to get it spoiled. And at that point, Streamer Bother takes over. Streamer Bother Brain takes over, and he goes, you know what? If you are streaming, if you're in the public eye, everything is going to be spoiled. You're never going to be able to have anything be a surprise ever again. The journey to the spoilers is going to be the important part. So I am fully anticipating that I'm going to get every single secret, you know, Snape kills Dumbledore right away. Sorry if I spoiled that for anybody. All right, anyway, we were looking at one of these flows. UI HUD elements on the Bethesda games are all Adobe Flash Shockwave. As recent as as recent as Starfield. That's fascinating. Is that Gamey Bro? Is that what that engine is called? So Node-RED works with flows, and Node-RED you can program visually. All of these little shwoopty-hoops are different things that can happen with these flows. If I just want to toggle any old response, I'm sending it into a change node, and the change node is turning the payload into whatever I want it to be. In this case, it is a specific structure of information that is going to be able to send a command to my instance of OBS Studio, which is the software that I'm using to stream, this thing right here. Okay, it sends it to that, and it controls stuff. So if I hit this, my raid thing comes up. It's the payload, like in Overwatch. Yeah, exactly, only it contains boring nerd stuff, like words. Oh, it's the payload from TF2. Velkin would know better. So anyway, that sends like an OBS set scene. So what I'm trying to do right now, I'm being kind of stubborn, is I'm trying on a raid, I want to send it the word on. And then when I want to turn it off, I want to send it the word off. And so in my microcontroller, which is the end recipient, that's what this is, Spinny Light is on what's called an MQTT server. The MQTT server makes it so that when I have a message come in, I can send it to the device I want it to be on my Internet of Things thing. We had, for this light right here, it's the GVM light. These were in Tiger King for like one scene where it was a chimpanzee's birthday, but these were in Tiger King. Tiger King. Anyway, okay. The GVM light says, hey, you can connect your phone to this. Oh, you want to connect your phone to it? And I go, well, yeah, I guess. Not really, but okay. And he goes, okay, connect your phone, just get our app. And so I get their app. And their app requires your whole phone to switch its entire internet off and connect via Wi-Fi to the one light. And there aren't many provisions for multiple lights. This is like years and years ago when I first bought it. It's probably different now. We had somebody in chat, and I can't corroborate this because I don't know how to do this stuff, but we had somebody in chat say that they reverse engineered the application to see what it was doing. And they said that it whitelists, meaning there's internet IT speak. There's a blacklist and a whitelist, and the blacklist is the don't allow, and the whitelist is do allow. So it whitelisted a website, and the URL was known to be a Chinese propaganda server. I don't know how, but I looked on the list of things that were whitelisted on my phone's browser, and it was there. So I don't like applications that I'm required to install in order to run my Internet of Things things. So I try to part myself from having to install these applications. And so what we use for the Internet of Things things, like these little, these things over there. Those over there, those are little switches that turn on and off when I send it a command in Node-RED. And that's how, when I switch scenes from my face to the desk, this light turns on. You can see when I go to the face cam, it turns off. So I'm not blinding you guys with my light. That is entirely operated by OBS and Node-RED. And then in order to not run whatever the heck on-off software they would require to use these light things, I have something installed called Tasmota. And Tasmota gets a message from an MQTT server to tell it to turn on and off. And it does not communicate with anybody else. So this stuff is a lot. It's a lot. I know it's a lot. It's like a whole, you have to be like writing stuff down in order to understand everything that I've been going through in this shop. But it means that I've got this nice, easy front end where I can throw a bunch of functionality and have actual smart stuff happen. You know, if I hook this up to the rest of the house, I could have it water my garden every X amount of time and all that stuff. So all this smart home stuff we've kind of, as a society, squandered because everybody wants your data, and that's getting really, really annoying. So I have been able to get myself outside of that system with, you know, Tasmota, Node-RED, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So instead of something on and something off, I could just send it a 1 or a 0. I don't know if I could set it to just a number. I don't know if I can do that. I think it needs JSON. So let's just send it a 1 or a 0. And doing that, we can use the techniques that we were using before. We can either take it in as a character. I have to deploy this or else nothing will happen. And you guys can't see it, but up in the corner, there's a little deploy button up here for actually sending all of this software over. So I deploy it. And then in our microcontroller, and actually, to be honest, it could be a more complicated message. I could say, this pin do this thing, but we're keeping it very, very simple. So we get on Wi-Fi, and then what are we doing? We're monitoring Spinny Light 01 on my network, which you guys can't break into. There was a user who came in here and said, you know, Bother, your SSID for your router is probably easily searchable in this map program. And so I went and I looked up the very common name for my own little router that's on my other network. So this is behind 2 firewalls. But anyway, so I looked this up, and apparently I'm in a strip mall in Akron, Ohio, next to a laundromat. So clearly it's not a breach in protocol here. You guys would have to literally be standing at the window in order to get on my Wi-Fi, because when I walk out of the house, I almost immediately lose it. I'm not in Ohio, but that's where it said my SSID was in use. So our switch pin is pin 4. As far as I know, putting the number 4 in for the switch pin is supposed to go to this individual pin, where is it detailed in a random picture. Where is my information? There. 135402215. As far as I know, I think I can put 4 in there and it will light up this pin, the one labeled 4. I thought Ohio isn't real. Yeah, but if mirrors aren't real, then what are you in Akron, Ohio? So do you guys know Kitboga at all? Kitboga's like phenomenal and a phenomenon. He spams the spam callers quite well. Very popular stream, watched him for a little while, way back in the day. Extremely talented, works with Milton a little bit. Kit Boga was, of course, as usual, egging on a scammer to get information out of them and keep them talking and waste their time. And he was like, the scammer was like, well, actually, I think it was Kit who was like, so where are you from? And the scammer was like, I'm from Pennsylvania. And he goes, oh, I know Pennsylvania really well. Where are you? And he, oh, you know, this place and that place. And then he says, where are you from? He says, Berwyn. And I'm like, wait, I'm in Berwyn right now. Because I was in Berwyn at the time. And he's like, oh yeah, Kit was like, oh yeah, that's way out there in the sticks. And I'm like, hey, this isn't the sticks. What are you talking about? I don't know. Boga probably knows PA from many years ago, and this was out in the sticks. But yeah, I was at Berwyn at the time, and he named the exact town that I was in. I was like, what the hell? I think that was back when I had a job. Anyway, GPIO 4. So this one right here is what we supposedly are flipping on and off with our command. So we send it a 1 or a 0 for on and off. 1 is on, 0 is off. What's a sticks? Out in the sticks, like out in the countryside. He's at a Styx concert. So we're naming the switch pin as 4. I have a universal variable for on-off that I'm setting as a Boolean, so that should only be a 0 or a 1. And then down here, we have a bunch of functions for setup and a bunch of functions for our loop. And our loop runs over and over again. Our setup only runs once. So we set up the pin as an output. We handle the over-the-air Arduino stuff. That's basically what allows me to look in the COM port, and I can see Spinny Light 01 at its IP address. That means that all that stuff is still functioning. This is a skeleton of a program. It's a framework that I know functions. So down, all the way down here, we have something weird, which is on MQTT message. This only runs when there is a message for this device, and then it'll roll the message in, and we need to do something in order to figure out what that message is. If I parse it as an int, and then let's see, int message, and actually I don't need a local, I don't need on off. We can get rid of on off as a global variable. We don't need that anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to parse int. So whatever comes into this, it's going to parse as an integer. An integer parse you can look up in the dictionary, but integer is a type. In a microcontroller, we store things as 1s and 0s. You can think of a microcontroller as a very complicated mechanical system. It's like the clicks of the clock are like the ticks of a watch. And what happens is line by line, we go through our code. Between our programming a loop and the actual microcontroller doing it, it's translated into something no human being can possibly ever understand. It's called machine code. Machine code are individual instructions where you have 1011, we'll say, hey, move this data from this location to this location. Move int, do a math function on something, you gotta move it over to a math processor. It's very complicated. The sort of the, what is it called? The compromise between humans being able to understand what the hell's going on without having to have like lookup tables and stuff, and being able to actually program things is the compiler and the language you're using. In our case, it's something akin to C++. C++ is object-oriented programming. It's a little bit more speakeasy. You can say it as loops and stuff. You have to think a particular way in order to put together loops and stuff in it. Python is an easier language, although typically it runs a little slower than C and C++. C++, you sort of program in a particular way and you think about it in a particular way. And then the IDE, the programming interface that we're putting all the words into, will then get rid of all the white space. It'll bunch everything together. It'll figure out what the loops are. It'll conserve memory and all that stuff in the background. We don't have to worry about that. So we don't have to think about things in machine language. But when it comes to taking signals in and putting signals out, we have to worry about things like, how are we casting this variable? How much memory space is being taken up by that? What happens when it runs over? What happens when it underruns? A raid light, it means when a channel raids into my channel. On Twitch, you can, oh my God, everything needs an appendix. I need to like hand out a syllabus to every single thing needs an appendix in these projects. What am I doing? When another channel raids into this channel, they take all of their viewers and they sort of dump them into your channel. So for instance, we had Dave 5005 raid in, and all of the people, what is Twitch? So computers have things called browser. If you've ever used a browser on a computer, you can go to a website which is not stored on your computer, and live streaming is the system where, oh my God. If a channel raids into my channel, I want this spinny light to turn on. It's a big caution light that you would put on a car, on your work truck. And so when somebody raids into my channel, I want this thing to activate and spin around. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a microcontroller to interpret a command that we're sending it as turning a pin on and off. And then through this thing, this pin will be able to turn on the entire Spinema light. So right now, I'm going through the code. When an MQTT message comes in, actually what I really should do is, I guess we'll put that size check back in. So if, all right, where are we? We need to go to the other example. I like people to be informed on what I'm actually doing here. It often means it often means that I have to spend a lot of time explaining myself, sometimes to the detriment of the project. That's what we're working on. I need a different example. I need an example where we check the size, and this one's if message size is greater than or equal to 1, and we can just come in here and put this loop right here. If message size is equal to 1, double equals is a comparison operation that returns a 1 or a 0, and the if works on 1s or 0s, and so in order to do proper programming parlance, we indent everybody, and so there we go. So if the message size is equal to 1, int of message is equal to whatever this parseInt command does, and it parses an int, so I think it'll be an integer already, and so we can just do if message is equal to 1, else if, or just else. Actually, we don't need the parentheses and an else, it's just else like that. So if it's equal to, if the message size is 1, it'll write the pin high, and that'll activate our Spinema light. And then if the message is anything else and is equal to 1, it will set it to low. So if it's 1, then this will evaluate as true. Yeah, I'm going to update it to a 1 and a 0. It's just going to send a 1 or a 0 now. So I'm hoping that what this does, parseInt, it'll parse the message and turn it into an int. Otherwise, I mean, maybe I can send it in an integer, but I don't know how MQTT does it. We're just trying to hit this thing with stuff until it activates. So, all right, so let's check to see that I put all my semicolons in the right place. And if this compiles, then I'll change the command in the flow, and then we can test it to see if it activates the pin for 5 seconds. That was a humdinger. That was a lot. You can send it the int with MQTT. Oh, Smith Clay knows more than I do. You could send it a bool? Oh, it only sends strings, as far as I know. Okay, thank you. So that's what parseInt would be doing. It would just go in there and say, hey, that's a 1. Let me turn that into the integer 1. We could have done that with, we could have done parseInt with the other program. I don't know why you'd be skinning cats. I don't know why you would do that, but there's more than one way to do that. So with programming and engineering particularly, there's 500 ways to do something. So, so can you program games in Sandbox? Man, you know, I've been watching Rabaz trying to make a game in Blender, and it seems like a lot of fun, and I could probably figure it out. I wouldn't be using ChatGPT like he does to do all the programming, because Rabaz doesn't know how to code. I would have to learn C#, and I could probably make a pretty mean game. I don't have any idea for a concept of a game. If I had a good idea for a concept of a game, I probably could make one. The one idea that I do have for a really good game is too complicated for me to make at my current skill level. And I have too many things going on around here. I'm losing my voice. My voice is starting to go because I've been talking emphatically for quite a bit of time. You could always send it raw binary data. How dare you call me that? Yeah, so my idea for a game would be your typical low poly, annoying ghost game where you're trying to do some kind of a chore and the ghosts keep interrupt you doing the chore. But the trick with it is that you have a frustration meter, and it looks like the frustration meter is actually like you're going to lose if you get too frustrated. You better do something to lower your frustration. But in reality, I wouldn't tell anybody when your frustration goes all the way to the final thing, you would crash out and it would become a brawler where you brutally beat up all of these ghosts. So it would be something like, you know, you'd have your semi-transparent like plasma ghosts that in typical media you would pass your hand through and go, ooh, my hand got cold. But in this, you grab it by the neck and start like viciously throwing it around the room and just totally fucking up a room, beating up all these ghosts. That's my idea, because those ghost chore games are really frustrating and you can't crash out and beat up a whole room. It would be like a cross between Samson and, I don't know, locksmith simulator or whatever. I could make that. I could probably make a how frustrated is bother meter. I could hook it up to an accelerometer on the desk, and every time I kick the desk with my foot, I go, "Argh!" and kick my desk, and then the frustration meter would go up. Thanks for the idea. I'm going to go ask some AI to make the game. Good luck. I want to see it when you do it, because I'm certainly not going to. Samson was quite a brutal game, and I loved how awful the brawling was. It was like a Philadelphia in the 80s simulator, but with a lot of fighting. And nobody had guns somehow. Okay, so anyway, blah, 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 switch pin high or low, depending on the contents of message. If an integer is a 1 or a 0, I'm pretty sure it's evaluated as true or false. And this compiled the code, so I'm pretty sure I don't have to cast it as a Boolean. I think it'll just interpret the very first number of the integer as a Boolean, and as such, actually, maybe it needs to be an unsigned integer. A uint 8t. That way it's only 8 1s and 0s. And so if this is a 0, I don't know what parseint's going to return, but it better be unsigned. Because if it's signed, then 1 doesn't equal 1 and 0 doesn't equal 0. If it's unsigned, 0 is equal 0, 1 is equal 1. There's no negative numbers. Excuse me. If that works, let's double check that compiles. With Python, you get away with all kinds of stuff like this. You don't have to worry as much about things being the right type. Sometimes we get away with these little things, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do that in C++. Hey, we kept a lot of you guys. We really scammed you guys into watching this channel, huh? Weird. Oh, it did compile. Okay, maybe I'm going to get away with this, and we'll see that pin go high and low. I really should put an LED on that pin, but I don't want to do the physical work to make it right now. It'll be much easier for us to troubleshoot this, though. And actually, I do have a ground pin right next to that, so I could just... No, I'm not going to do that. All right, let's go ahead and send it to our COM5. So this is going to be the physical programmer. We're not doing it over the air. And then we're going to go to node red, and I'm going to change this. Do I change this into an int? Just a number? I think it's going to remain a string, and it's just going to be a 1 or a 0. And parseint will then turn it into an actual 1 or a 0. So when I toggle this, we're going to be sending this device specifically and having pin 5 turn on and off. This is what I get for using a device that doesn't have its own built-in LED. So I'm going to put this multimeter to volts, and then I'm going to hold my probes like chopsticks. That was a joke. Oh, okay. I mean, I don't mind. You can steal my idea. It's not that good of an idea. The real sauce of that idea, and again, it's the same thing with this channel and people coming to me with their idea. Hey, I want to make a thing, bother. I'm the ideas guy. I need you to make it. No. It doesn't work that way. Ideas are easy. It's doing and making the thing that is the difficult part, where we can help you, but being an ideas guy is not a thing that we like here. I'm an ideas guy. I just come up with stuff. Hey, what if you made a car that runs on trash? That way we're getting rid of 2 things. That's actually a fake TED Talk that I'm referencing. All right, so I got one hand over... Hey. But I could hire you to make it. Hey, if you want to hire me to make it, I don't know if you can afford my rates. It takes a bit of money to get in the door, and then my hourly is quite steep. I'll give you a good time estimate, but okay, so we got 0.48 volts. I take my second hand and I go over the toggle button and I hit it, and then nothing happens. Fuck. Son of a bitch. Why does nothing happen? So nothing happened. Nothing do. Is it me? This one is IO. Oh wait, I wasn't on IO 4. Oh, we could have had a working system this whole time and I just didn't know. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. There it is. Hey, so we did, you know, I might have had a working system. I might have been on the wrong pin. Oh, that's annoying that I might have been on the wrong pin. Well, we're probably going to have a part 3 of this, but when I hit the toggle button on my computer, this device, although this device is also connected to my computer, it'll turn that pin positive for 5 seconds. I have on idea. Idea man. I have idea. Hey, what are idea? I have an idea where you give me an idea and then you make it and then I get rich. How about that? That's my idea. My idea is that you have an idea, you do the idea, and then we get rich. What's the idea? Well, that's the trick, is that you got to come up with something. That's why I'm hiring you. So we are able to make IO4, this one right here, turn on for 5 seconds. And obviously more stuff is going to have to happen to this flow in order for us to make it like a big event when somebody raids in. Given a couple hours, I probably could have had something actually respond to Dave's raid, but I thought about reaching out about a project and seeing what you would cost. Pretty sure it would qualify for a patent. How many lawyers do you have? It's tough. Oh, the Idealite was a little bit laggy on that one. One of my friends had a problem. He couldn't get a job at the place where his father worked because there was a rule that you can't invite family members to work. So I gave the idea to leave the family officially. I have changed my name. You did workbench and shelves. Nice, haystack. Nice, nice, nice. You do the very top and screw it to the wall. That's one thing that my folks didn't do with the IKEA shelves that they put up. They have the old wooden IKEA shelves, and they have them as storage space in the garage, and they're really tall, and they started stacking stuff way at the top, like big things, and it wasn't connected to the wall, and the whole shelf is like moving around. These are not, my workspace is not connected to the wall, but it's fairly heavy and wide, so tall and narrow. Yeah, those IKEA shelves are iffy. All right, so this would be the spinny light trigger. Now, hooking this up to a RAID is as easy as just doing this, right? Just connecting that to that. I'm not going to do that yet. We just have this sort of pseudo functioning right now where I can actually connect it to the motor controller. I need to find an LM1117 voltage regulator because we've got 12 volts coming into this thing. And I'm going to make like a barrel plug insert on the side so I can power it off a wall wart. Because these might be separated from one another. I'm going to need to find two 12-volt wall warts and then modify them into the sides of these things. And then we run that 12 volts to here and to the voltage regulator where it will power the ESP8266. So that's how we're going to do it. Once we get that together, if I can find the thing, I can hot glue all the components to the ample space inside of this thing. And then when I hit the toggle button, this thing will turn on for a second or so, or 5. So let me find a voltage regulator. I don't want to use a 7805. They get kind of hot under 12 volts. An LM1117 has lower dropout. These are part numbers for components that I know. They're what are called jelly bean components. And don't let the name fool you. They are not jelly beans. These jelly bean components, calling something a jelly bean component means that it is a very common component. So if you are doing a Google search and you are looking for common components in designs that you could use to prototype with, you know, your generic everyday designs, you would look up jelly bean components. So it's a particular term within this kind of stuff that denotes. Yeah, it's not like you would think. Not a jelly bean like you would think. What are you? What are you? Oh, a TIP 122. That's a MOSFET. That's not a voltage regulator at all. I don't know if I have big LM1117s. It would be nice if I did. TIP 122. Again, that's a big FET. I bet you don't have a 555 in there. Not in this one, but I do have a bin that has them because people sent them in. Somebody sent me a 555. One of my known rants to the people who are around here regularly is that the 555, although every single electrical engineering kind of soldery weird beard that you would encounter in the wild seems to love those stupid things, those 555s. They're useless. They are beyond useless. They are obsolete. They are completely obsolete parts. And you say, but bother, all I want to do is blink an LED. Well, then you get to do the calculations on what the resistor and the capacitor is that would enable you to blink that LED. And you can have an unreliable LED blinking machine that uses a 555 and can literally do nothing else. Whereas I, the big-brained, the one that I drew as the Chad and not the Wojak, would use a microcontroller. And while the complexity is well above what you would need in order to flash an LED, it opens up the possibility that you would use the knowledge that you gained by the project to do things that are much more cool and interesting and fun with your newfound microcontroller knowledge. Blinking an LED is all well and good, but sometimes we want to use Node-RED and MQTT to blink an LED. And so we can, because we have the knowledge of how to program microcontrollers now. I got to explain it to the people who have never been here before. I got to go down the same roads over and over again. I like 555s and test circuits. I think these are the 555s. I think these are the 555s. Okay, get off. Oof. They're all tangled up in one another. I don't think they're voltage regulators. These are 7805s. We could use one of those. Focus. This is just a webcam that I put in a custom case. It's in a little aluminum case. And so it makes a really good microscope because there's like 2 feet of standoff on it. And it can get really close if I put spacers in there too. So yeah, I do have 555s. The 555 just had its 50th birthday. Holy shit. Yeah, these are how the weird beards used to do it. You used to be able to look in the back of like a Radio Shack sign and it would have 2 lights that are blinking back and forth. And you would look at the circuit and go, oh yeah, there's a 555. What this thing does is this uses a resistor and a capacitor to time pulses. And it can get it pretty accurately. It's just that resistors and capacitors are statistical devices that have values that vary. And so you have to go through a bunch of capacitors and test them with your machine and go, that one's closest to the value that I kind of got in my weird equation. So great, but you know, they're only slightly older than me. Don't admit that. Don't admit that, Smith Clay. Oh, my poor Smith Clay, he's died. He's died on this hill. Now we know. We all know. I don't know if any of these are like 7805s. I think these are all transistors. I would want to use one of these because typically they generate less heat and I don't need that much current to power the ESP8266, the microcontroller, to power this thing. This thing doesn't use a lot of current. I think it, well, might. You know what? I think these are all transistors. BCS, yeah. Some of these are older than I am, though. What the hell is, 7805. Yeah, so this is an LM7805. This comes from a drawer that was at a research operation at the University of Pennsylvania where they did non-invasive brain imaging using near-infrared spectroscopy. If you hit the skull of an organism with certain frequencies of light, the light penetrates guts and stuff, and it bounces off of blood. It's the same way that you measure the blood flow and oxygenation in the muscle. But if you do it to the brain is structured in kind of a cool way. There is a whole vascular structure at the back of your head, right at the target of where you hit with the blackjack. So you hit the blackjack, poof, and it messes up all the vascular stuff and you pass out. That structure at the back of your head is a pressure regulator. It's a flow regulator for your whole brain. When you think really hard about corn and you're like, and you think about corn, the corn section of your brain dilates and more blood flows to that part of the brain. And then in the act of thinking about corn, it'll use that blood. And so the front of your brain, the emotional core of your brain, the part that you bump into when you knock your head around and then you become more violent, if that part is using blood, you will see an increase in flow. And if it's actually using the blood, you will also see oxygenation. So these two frequencies of light are really cool. And so that research operation was building electronics in order to flash LEDs at the front of your brain and then read the amount of light coming back on it. And it was kind of a solution looking for a problem, because if you did something like solve an anagram, what they were looking for is the aha moment, where if you're solving an anagram, everything is chaos and you're thinking really hard about it, and you're thinking about what goes where, and this number maybe, or this letter here, this letter here, this letter here. Oh, I made a word, and then poof, the amount of activity suddenly drops off. And so utilizing the vascular structure in the back of the brain, the fact that the brain always uses about the same amount of blood, but it divvies it out to different locations, means that as you're studying that, you see an increase in blood flow and oxygenation, and then all of a sudden it goes and drops off, and then you die. It drops off suddenly. So if you're concentrating on something, you can actually see that somebody's concentrating on something. They tried to use it for a bunch of different purposes. One of the purposes was if you're playing a video game, this is what they put it to the digital media people at Drexel. And the digital media people were like, well, let's make a game where you're a psychic. And so you're a psychic and you're wearing this stuff. And if you concentrate really hard, you use your psychic powers on stuff. So it's like, I want to pick up this sewer grating. And then you pick it up in game. Awesome. The other use of it was a lie detector. Because the thought was when you lie, you think about the lie, and then you also think about the truth. And so you could see an increased activity when you lie. I don't know about that one, but they were trying to make like a more effective lie detector test. But anyway, these parts, this is something that they've been doing since like the late 80s or early 80s. I don't know, somewhere in the 80s. And so when that closed down, my mother worked there. And so we got to clean up the basement with a whole bunch of stuff in it. And so I got a lot of the stuff. So that's where these voltage regulators come from and why they're older than me. I also got to work there, designing some of their hardware at one point. I would love to make the brain monitor though. That would be kind of a funny project to do. I haven't really had the ability to do that, because finding the particular frequency of LEDs, not impossible, but I'd probably be able to do it, but still. Are we gonna like breadboard this? Is that what I'm gonna have to do? Because the 7805 is a linear voltage regulator. And if I give this thing 12 volts, it's going to get quite hot because it's really just dumping all of that extra power. I used to raid the waste bin at the Eaton's electronics department when I worked there. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've had a couple like things like that kind of close down on me. Like the Drexel Labs moved and got rid of a lot of stuff. And so a buddy of mine was positioned just right to get a bunch of the old things from there. So that's where like a lot of the weird stuff that I have comes mostly from the UPenn thing. And then also some of it comes from the Drexel thing, which is pretty crazy. All right. Breadboard. I'm going to have to explain everything I do to the Dave Raiders. Everything. Every last little thing I have to explain. Luckily, I have visual aids. Visual aids, not how you think. Breadboard. This is for prototyping. It allows you to hook up a bunch of stuff to a bunch more stuff, right? And we can hook it up and then it can be all weird and stupid, and if you poke at it, it'll stop working. This is a way to frustrate yourself on the regular, but it's also a way you can very quickly put together electronic circuits. What this contains, just a bunch of clips. Just a bunch of clips. They're just metal clips that have been inserted in the back of this thing, and there's 5 of them, 5 little pincers that give your electronics just a little pinch, and that allows you to hook them up to other stuff. So, in order to test the efficacy of the 7805, I'm going to put this directly into one of these clips. Now, this thing can get up to the limit of the amount of current that you can send through these clips. This can do 1 amp, I think. So it's probably not a good idea to be using this regulator. You should probably find a better one. I got a bin full of all kinds of breadboarding stuff that I could probably take a look at and try. But for now, actually, wait, what am I doing with the 7805? 5 volts would blow this thing up. This is a 3.3 volt device. Electronics have had sort of many different eras. There's the 12 volt era, 5 volts, now 3.3 volts. More complicated stuff now is 1.8 or something like that. It's typically half the amount of volts because when you have fewer volts, you can move ones and zeros around a lot faster. 3.3 volts is kind of where we are right now with most of the hobby stuff that we do. 7805 is obviously for the 5 volt era, and we don't need it. So we are a standard 3.3 volt device. So I have made a mistake. And we need to find a proper voltage regulator. I don't know where we're going to find one of the type that I'm looking for. I need it to be kind of an independent device. I think that was the wrong bin. Kind of an independent device because we're soldering independent devices down on this thing. What are those? I think those might have been voltage regulators. But they're too, like, antiquated. It's too ancient. I'm not going to order parts because I know I have this kind of stuff. Yeah, faster switching with lower voltages because it takes less time to get up to the voltage on the line. And we're talking about like less than microseconds, like attoseconds. Just like Warframe. I don't know anything about Warframe, I'm sorry. I keep seeing posts about Warframe. I don't know. All right, down here. Down here in the drawer of surface mount, etc. electronics. Any of you guys? Oh god, there's an entire bin full of 555s. I know it's a video game. I do know that. I just keep seeing posts about it, and I'm like, I don't know anything about this game. PWM. Echo audio. What? Echo audio processor. Oh, that could be really fun for the modular synthesizer stuff. Oh, I don't remember I have that. What do we do with that? That sounds awesome. Okay, anyway. Sounds awesome. Hey, you guys, these are old parts that I had on the breadboards that I took out and then put in this bin and didn't actually organize. I've got a lot of LM1117s. This is a particular voltage regulator that's really liked for modular synthesizer stuff because the LM1117 can take in 12 volts and output 3 volts without becoming excruciatingly hot. It's a fairly common device. I don't know if any of these are that voltage regulator though, because typically in a breadboard setup, we would be using my own power supply, which is much more stable and accurate. Let's just see if we can find. Here's the thing. If I find an LM1117 in here, we might be able to. It's actually a lot earlier than I thought. I've been streaming for a while today because I started like a half hour early. Yeah, it's only 3 o'clock, huh? I have to go have dinner with my friends, so I have to get out of here in a timely manner, but we're not running into that yet, so we're totally fine. 3906, that is a transistor that I happen to know. Some transistor that I used to know. Okay, let's check another one of these. I'm doing this because I sure as heck can't read these with my Mark I eyeballs. That's another 3906. I don't know if there's an LM1117 that exists in this package. There is a 7805, and actually we'd be looking for a 7803. Where's my focus? 2N 7000. That's a new one. I don't know about that. What are you? 3906. I think we're going to be finding all transistors in here, unfortunately. So I won't find one in there. I'm just going to have to find like a new one. I'm holding out hope. I'm holding out hope. 3906. Damn it! What's that? I followed last night after you raided Sid's stream. I'm sure that I'll be back again. I just dropped by to say hi. Hey, it's good to hear from you. Thank you very much. Last night we raided Sid Heresy, and the Dave Raiders may not know Sid Heresy does a lot of modular synthesizer stuff. They were working on some looking through some nonlinear circuit stuff, but it's another one of these tech channels, and they called me Twitch royalty. I don't know what to make about that. That's not even the thing that I was looking at. Why is that? Okay. What are you? Okay, these are all going to be transistors. I thought there was a chance that in this ridiculously disorganized bin full of just garbage that had made it from the breadboard into this bin, that somewhere along the line I would have been using that particular voltage regulator in this wonderfully small package that I could incorporate into sort of an open design. Because I don't want to build a circuit board with this. I want to just have a bunch of disparate components in a box, just because I haven't done that in a while. I want to have the ESP, I want this to be soldered down to the surface, and I want just a simple voltage regulator. You know, I'm not trying to like make it super fancy. We're not buying a printed circuit board, to be honest though. To be honest. At least before all of this tariff nonsense happened around here, it would have been perfectly cheap to make my own circuit board for this entire job. That would have been perfectly cheap. I could have dropped an ESP8266, done the simple circuit diagram on there, and sent it over to a board house and gotten 5 PCBs for $5. And then typically if you're ordering overseas, it would have been like another 20 for shipping. So $25 for 5 PCBs, and then I'd have like a professional looking thing that I could solder into these lights and get it working. I don't know what the situation with tariffs is, so I've been reluctant to do any sort of board design on stream, which means my copy of Fusion 360 is sort of teetering in the breeze. We need to do some 3-dimensional design stuff soon, so my copy of Fusion 360 doesn't turn into a pumpkin. All right, let's look through the microcontroller bin. I guess I can... The ones that are going to be in here are going to be way better than I should use in this project. Really, I should be using the dinkiest of voltage regulators for this. I'm sure the ESP would be happy with a nice stream of 3 volts, but all right, let's see. Maybe I can use up some really weird ones that I don't do anything with. For instance, this whole bin section right here. Burn the subs would be a great solution for that. I've already done that with burn the subs quite a lot, actually. We did a lot of CAD for burn the subs. This, I think, is a 5 volt. These I tried to label, but the problem is marker does not stick around on the back of these things because they're too smooth. Oh. 5 volts. Oh. 5 volt to 5 volt? Blank. 5 volt to... I think these are 5 to... They're 3.3 to 5. I think these are boosters. Because they got that big coil on them and everything. That's what I mean. All the voltage regulators in this bin are a little bit too funky and nice for this job. What are these? Are there ones? No, those are touch buttons. Hush puppies? Random... This is all of my breadboarding stuff, so there's some really weird things in here. We've been through some very strange projects indeed. Now this one is for charging a battery, but if I've got the ability to turn it to 3 volts, we could use this. Yeah, she's barking right now. I just heard her. Woo, 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 woo. Woof. I don't really have much use for these. These are like battery charging boards, though. They do have the regulator on them, that little voltage regulator right there. So that would be potentially something I could do. And then there would be like a status light on it. But these would be better for like a battery operated device. Like the electric dog collar I made. We electrified a dog collar for Willow, and it's basically an LED show. But I haven't done the final testing on it, and the final testing is to make sure that it doesn't blow up in any way before I allow my dog to wear it, because it does run a lot of current through it. See, something like these Pololu regulators, these guys down here come from a place called Pololu. They're in Las Vegas, but they make like robotics stuff, and they're pretty cool little regulators. There's a 3-volt version of this floating around, but I think they're either too expensive and too rare in my stuff for me to use. So it might come down to the... Actually, wait, this. What are you? Is that LM1117? This may be what we were looking for. LM1117. Oh, it's him. It's the guy. Okay, so that's the one that we're looking for. So I need another one, because remember, we're making 2 of these things. And that one I probably put aside for a reason. There might be more of them in a different section of the bins. I'm just going to quickly take a look around. There's no way that I would have used just one. Like, why is there just one of these things sitting here? That doesn't make any sense. There have to be like 15 of these things somewhere. Ones without headers on them. Well, there's 2. But they've got headers on them already. There's a 3rd. Okay, so at least I have some left over. Huh. Where do those magical boards come from? What's this one? That's some kind of a regulator that I don't know what it does. Put it in there. Okay, well, I guess that solves that. Okay, so they all have headers. All right, cool. So that goes away. Now we can actually make a proper test circuit out of this thing, and I can use jumpers and stuff to do it. It's not worth me even finding where to go. Throw it out. Okay. So, 3-volt regulator. Bada bing. Okay, this one hasn't been broken in yet. So these can kind of get a little weird when they haven't been fully broken in. All right, unplug this from the everything. That, and then this. And actually, let me get the other one of these that actually has a... Dr. Plugger! Thank you for subbing! I really appreciate that very much. Here, I've got one of these things that has headers coming out of it, and so we can plug that in and see it activate and everything. That's this one right here. Bada bing. All right, quick and dirty. So, 12 volts coming from this thing, V out, plus and minus. So we hook this thing up like that. Let's get that done real quick. Real quick, like, get it done. All right, so here, go back to this. Go back here. So it's V out, plus and minus. I need a screwdriver. Plus and minus. There we go. There you go. Uh-oh, nope. Come on. We can do this. We can do this. I can get this done by the end of stream. I keep looking up, but it's still 3. I thought it was like 5 o'clock. Why didn't that clamp down on anything? Weird. Yeah, these little screw headers can be kind of annoying. There are things called ferrules that you can put on the ends of these wires to keep them from getting frayed, but a ferrule would be kind of wasted on this. I could just strip the wires. Maybe that would work. But anyway, let's just get that in there. That. And, oh, I put it in the wrong one. Out, minus, and plus. Dang it. Okay, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. We're going to get this thing working. This thing will be fully working in just a minute. I just need to put together my test setup. And then they'll get broken up again and hot glued inside of the container. Ugh. I hate this. Hold on a second. I need more wire at the end of these things. And then once this is done, I don't have anything else to stream today, so we'll break for either for tomorrow or for Tuesday is when I'll be back next. So you guys will be able to catch me then. But first, we got to get this thing running. I need payoff for a 2-day stream, 2-day project. And we're getting close. We pretty much got the whole thing solved. It's just a matter of hooking up the hardware. And I found 1117s, so we're good on that front. I just want to make sure that this doesn't come loose and short out on itself, which it will totally do if I let it. But yeah, we'll do the hardware another day of actually like getting this thing into the enclosure. But right now we can do the initial test and see it actually light up the thing. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so there's that. That is 4 pins. We'll plug that in like this. I'm going to pipe power directly into this. I don't know if that's going to power up any of the other stuff that's on here. I don't know what that'll do. We'll find out. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. So let's get this out of the way. This stuff out of the way. I need a bunch of wires. So I store wires in bins. I got those over here. Yeah. Bunch of wires. Bunch of disorganized wires. What'd you just call me? So I need some of the short guys. So that'll be positive 12 volts. I need a ground wire. Where are a ground wire? There's nothing on that. Yeah, all the short ones got kind of disorganized, so I don't know what I'm pulling out of here. Okay, here we go. So that'll go into this screw terminal here as my 12 volts plus and minus over to the light. Why did that not seem like it was holding on? Screw terminals and like just bare wires is always kind of a curse. All right, so minus and plus 12 volts. And that'll gang up with the probes over there. I'm going to have to steal some wires from the LIN bus setup for that. So I need to see which pin is which on the LM1117 board. You don't say. No, I mean like you don't say. Oh, there we go. V in, V out, ground. Oops, don't look at my butt. All right. V in, V out. So ground's over here. V in, I'm going to share because that'll be the 12 volt line. And then over here, I'm going to grab the 2 former power wires, which blue I use as a stand-in for ground sometimes, which is not the way it is in England. So ground over here, everybody shares a ground. This one is V in from the power supply. And then the V out and ground need to go to this board. And then we have one singular signal wire. So I need to find a couple of these probes that I've modified to have the DuPont connector on one side and then the pin on the other. I had a roommate that was from the South and he always said peen. And I was like, you gonna smash peens? What you doing? Instead of pen, he said peen. Pin sometimes. It's like, could you not? I need more of these little jumpers. I found one. I need a couple more of these little guys. I should probably organize these at some point, to be honest. Oh, I don't need these big busted regulators to be around here anymore. Those guys go up above. Yeah. All right. Assuming I can locate any of the things that I built so that these things would go faster and more smoothly, which is a big ask, I will have this thing fully functioning in just a minute. Where are the other ones of this? Okay, that's another one. I need 3. 3. Yeah. Oh, my can doesn't do. I can't do that 3 thing. Ugh. You see that? Like my fingers are like rolling up as I need more. I need to do like finger stretches. I don't know why my hand can't do that. So I do the European 3. Eh. Ooh, even that one hurts a little bit. Why is that? Why am I so inflexible? That's weird. Weird. All right, we're almost there. We're almost there. I'm trying to do right by the Dave raid and actually show you guys something cool. Even though showing the shop is cool, most of the stuff that I have is in a state of disrepair. So if I can just find one more of those types of jumper, then we're good to go. Because this thing has pins, right? It's all pins on this thing. So I want it to go from here to here and here to here. I blocked the feed. I clicked in to a scene that I have as a separator between scenes. So there's nothing on that scene. Should be like a technical difficulties scene. Need to stop giving people the middle finger, I guess. How many is that? Oh my God. I guess I could use this one. It's not very good, but I'll use it. All right, get this out of the way. Get this out of the way. Oh, you know what? Here they are. They're all in this. They're all organized. How dare something be organized? Okay. It's possible that I need to send a ground over to this board. Let's just double check how isolating this thing is. So what do we have over here? We have... Okay, it is a big shared ground. Trigger, PWM, and ground. What? Ground, trigger, okay. And they're shared. Okay. So we've already got ground hooked up because it's coming in through this wire that goes here. And so this ground and this thing and that thing and the other thing. Okay, so trigger goes in any of these 4. So we'll just put it right here. Oh, that one's super loose. That one right there. We've already got ground. We've already got power out to the light. And so this one is ground from there. And then, where's that other one? This one is, nope. Where'd it go? Oh, sorry. Blue is going to be power. Beggars can't be choosers, man. So blue is 3 volts. And then black is ground, except that blue is also ground right here. Whatever. Okay, so pin IO4 is the trigger. 3v3 is blue. And then ground is the black wire. That goes right here. So now we have our microcontroller hooked up. We do have a bunch of BS that's also connected. I don't know to what end. I don't know what's going to be powered up from this stuff, but it's enough. It's close enough to the simulation that we want to give it that everything will be nice and reliably connected. So I think what I can do is I can hook my probes up. I've got the power supply over there. The bench supply is off for hooking up. So now I can do yellow to positive, blue to ground, not confusing at all, blue to ground. And then we can hit this with 12 volts and it should get on my network and start listening on that MQTT channel, which is something done by Wi-Fi. But let's see what we got. What happens when, all right, you guys ready for either something to pop or something to work? This is where if I had more viewers, I would be doing a gamba. And we would do a gamba, yeah. Flashbang. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Nobody blew up. Do we see an excessive amount of heat anywhere? I see a little bit of heat coming from the ESP and a lot of bit of heat coming from the LM1117, but it takes a lot of heat for this thing to get on the Wi-Fi. Supposedly, Node Red is telling me that this is connected. Right there. You see that little thing right there? It says connected. So if I hit the toggle, boom. Success. Now this is where I would be like, oh, this only costs a few, like it would only take somebody subscribing in order to set it off. And then somebody would naturally like subscribe. So if I were to do that, if I were to be stupid like that, a little money grubbing streamer, I could take, which one is subscribe and which one's subscription is the one on top, gift is the bottom one. So if I said, oh, all I need is for somebody to gift a subscription in order to activate this thing. Nobody's going to do that though. Nobody's going to do that just to see a stupid little light spin around when it's triggered. Nobody would actually gift a subscription in order to see this orange light right here do a little roly-poly thing. You know, with all the lights off. I need a 120 decibel siren. I used to have something like that, and I put it at a giant yellow painting, and in the middle was an illuminated blue button that said press here. And it turns out if you give something like that to school-aged kids, it will become a contest of who can tolerate the 120 decibel siren sitting behind your canvas painting. Which is not good when the art show is in your music and theater hall. It is actually quite dark here. It's just the, that's right, you have that, the 100 decibel beeper. That's gonna be like, that hurts. That's a hair dribbler level of sound. Well, I have the thing hooked up, but there's not enough charitable people in order to gift subs. When we work on Burn the Subs, this is actually something that I can get away with. I'm totally happy for nobody to gift a sub. That's fine. I'm good with that. I'm happy. I like leaving it up to chat whether or not they want to actually do it, and it's always a surprise when somebody gifts a sub when I bait them like that, but resisting the bait is just as honorable. What we have here, and you guys can see it better than I can, it's actually a little bit darker than you'd think in here because I just turned off all the studio lights. Streaming is quite a bright affair when you have cameras in the real world. That one stream that Dave did where he was assembling furniture at, I guess, Tomato's house. I don't know what's going on there. But he was assembling furniture and he had the lighting was all wrong and I wanted to die. Because I do a lot of the studio lighting in here so that things look good and I don't have like raver trails behind my hands moving around. A lot of going into 3-point lighting and stuff. But yeah, this is a lot darker than you would think. And it looks nice and crispy in the dark because these modules have their own LEDs indicating stuff. But what we have are 3 modules that you can just go out and buy. One of them is an ESP8266. This has boilerplate code in it to monitor for a particular message in order to turn something on and off. In Node-RED, we have something that communicates with the MQTT server to send it a signal to turn it on, wait 5 seconds, and then send it a signal to turn it off. And I've hooked that up to gift subscriptions for fun. We have a voltage regulator module that's taking the 12 volts that this thing wants. Actually, right now it's 9 volts. It takes the 9 volts that this thing wants, and it turns it into 3.3 volts so that we can feed the microcontroller without blowing it up. This does not have a voltage regulator on it. Then we have a switching module. This uses 2 MOSFETs for some reason to switch ground to this light so that a lot of current can flow through there and have the rudimentary DC motor and filament lamp light up for the 5 seconds that we trigger it. That's it. That's all it is. And we just hooked everything up to one another. And now if I hit the toggle button, bonk, this thing will turn on for 5 seconds. So it'll just be a matter of me making a couple of things happen in the shop. I need the lights to turn off, and then I need this thing to activate, and then, I don't know, the confetti sprays out or something, and I say, whoa, thanks for the raid. That's not going to be something that I'm able to test. I did not expect Dave to raid today. I never expected Dave to acknowledge me at all. And so having Dave raid was really cool. I wish we could have gotten here a little bit faster, but things like this, simple projects that are like really easy and simple and almost stupid, take a long time when raiding. And you guys, that thing, it's really hot. Jeez, I might be a little bit over current on that thing. simple, stupid, easy projects like this take a lot of time on streaming. You guys saw that in action. We got a bunch of people in here that weren't like electronics people, and so I had to explain myself to everybody. But yeah, it's getting a little toasty on this board. This LM1117 maybe isn't quite the regulator that I need for this job. Whoa. Okay, nobody's talking in chat, and I think we're done. We're done here. I have made something where if I poke it with the computer, I poke it, it does a thing. We've made a lot of stuff to do this. I just figured having a big physical spinny light is going to be awesome, and it is. So we can work on getting that thing packed up. Here, let me turn the lights back on. Bonk. Yeah, there we go. If I had different, like, color lights, if I put like an RGB LED in that thing and made it work, which we could do, I could probably have that thing indicate different emergency things. But for now, we're going to keep it as a dumb light, and I'm just going to throw the electronics into it, and then we'll have something that I can put like on top of the milling machine, and then when somebody raids, it'll go, whoa, emergency. That'll be cool. That's what it's all about, right? I hope everybody learned something today, at the very least, just by virtue of osmosis. I will be back maybe tomorrow, but no promises. Definitely Tuesday I will be back. Yeah, I hope everybody, yeah, thanks for the help, by the way, everybody. Yeah, especially, yeah, Dutch Mania helped quite a bit. I don't know if those previous commands, the ones that actually went through, they might have actually worked. No, the 555 is terrible. That's the takeaway. Don't listen to that. It's horrible. It's awful. It's hateful. Oh yeah, what were you guys saying? Oh, Lawn Dog was talking about UFOs. That was in the middle of other stuff going on. Sorry, Lawn Dog. I don't know. All that stuff is a little weary. Anyway, yeah, you guys have a good weekend. Thank you for joining me. I don't know. Let's see who's on. I think anybody who knows about Tomato would already be in his stream, so I'm not going to like raid Tomato. That would be a little awkward. Everything is crab. Oh, Jesus Christ. What the hell is that game? Milton, Windrose, Rabaz is doing War Thunder. Why is he doing War Thunder already? Was there like a time dilation or something? It's okay, you're a busy host. Yeah, I had a lot of people drop in, and we still have a lot of people here. I guess they're all asleep at the computer or something, so I apologize. Talking about UFOs was not on the table. I don't have my thoughts compiled on that one. Sean is streaming. Who's down there on the list? Paleontologizing is also on. They must have just started up because they only have a couple viewers. I should knock. Twitch really wants me to use their knock feature, and that sounds so disruptive. Like, Milton is playing games with his brother. I'm not related to them. If I use that knock button, what's it gonna do? What's it gonna do? It's gonna like disrupt their stream. What is the knock feature? Fucked if I know, guys. I think it's a way to dual stream with somebody, and you would knock on their stream, but like, here I am, this dinky little streamer who has a few viewers under their wing right now, and it says that I can knock on their stream. What would that do? I think that would burn bridges very quickly. These sort of shaky bridges that I have with these channels that somewhat know me would immediately evaporate if I hit that knock button. That seems like a very dangerous call for me. What would it do? I would hope it would make a big disruptive knocking noise, though. That would be hilarious. You don't want to admit to having taken apart these found devices. Yes, that's the reason why I'm not telling Twitch chat how to build a bomb, because it was never a bomb. It was actually a UFO device. Ha 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 ha. I haven't done the end card yet. I was going to do the end card. Let's do that real quick. I didn't do the end card. I would have ended stream right on that, but I didn't do this yet, and so that's being an irresponsible host. So this, and then I'm going to make the call and just call it Tuesday. And Tuesday would be the 12th. So we're going to put 12 in there, and then I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to go over here to chat. All these little things that I use in order to host my stream. And click, boom. So, oops, face cam. There we go. Where'd the message? Oh no, it went away already. There. I'm no longer on Blue Sky because I got hacked and then it posted a bunch of bullshit and then they banned me. So I don't know what to do about that. So I am on Discord though. That's pretty much my only social media. Welcome to becoming an old man, I guess. I don't know, whatever. It's much healthier not to be on all that stuff. So my only social media, Discord. I'm on it constantly though, with not much to say. But anyway, all kinds of fun stuff going on there. Maybe if you just want to take a look at pictures of the dog, check out my Discord if you want. Anyway, I'm back 3 hours ago. What the? Hold on a minute. The command is broken. The command is broken. Oh, because it didn't send. Did my Discord just ban me for sending that message? Retry. It's the whole message is highlighted in red. It didn't. Oh, really? Did the Discord invite not work? Wait a minute. Has my Discord been blown up? What is going on? Is Discord broken right now? Look at this whole thing. This is my announcement channel. Wait a minute. We're continuing to work to remediate issues impacting availability for some Discord users. Some. Okay, so Discord is like mega on fire. It's just completely fucked. So Go Mania, I appreciate you attempting at a bad time. So try again in a little bit. Maybe Discord will be in an unexploded state. My end card is also broken. It should say 2 days, something or other. But yeah, we'll catch you then. I'm going to end stream because things appear to be in a state of broken. God damn. Okay. You know, we get like one new person in Discord a month. And of course, at the time, when somebody tries to join, it's broken. I'll be back on Tuesday. You guys can join Discord when it's back. They're remediating the issue right now. Until then, have a good weekend. And I hope to hear about personal projects on the Discord when it works. Take it easy.